I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We call a meeting to order. And first thing on the meeting is administrative.
I have the minutes of June 18th.
Okay, we have the minutes of June 18th. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes of June 18th as written? Or any corrections or anything?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of June 18th.
Got a motion by Ken to accept them as written. Do I have a second?
Yep.
Second by Randy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. There you go.
Next I have salary sheets.
Okay. So what we have here is Aaron Shippey, full-time paramedic, 6-month pay raise, $15 an hour. And we also have Brandy Ankerman, 1-year pay raise as pesticide technician 2 from $23.12 a month to $23.56 a month.
Okay, the next thing I have is we received a letter from the city of Ramona. They do their, hold their formal Independence Day celebration on Saturday, July 7th. They were requesting permission to have their fireworks displayed at that time. Since it is out of the approved fireworks season, we did have them fill out a special event. So that will need to be approved. Also with the special events, there's usually a $50 fee. Would you like to waive the fee or have them pay it?
What have we done in the past?
I
I think we've just approved it. I don't think we've charged the fee.
Okay.
don't think they've ever paid a fee before. Because usually it happens within the
Oh, okay.
approved
Yeah.
fireworks time.
And they've got a site that they're at. I mean,
Mhm.
it's all one area.
Okay. I'm perfectly fine with that.
I'd make a motion to approve it.
Okay, I'll second it. Got a motion by Randy to approve the fireworks event for Ramona and to waive the $50 fee. All in favor say aye.
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 And it will need to be signed. Second page.
Okay. And date it, right? Or do you just do that?
6/25.
Okay, I don't know if I did that or you did that.
Next, we received a letter from the Harvey Marion County CDDO. It's just stating that the Board of Directors of the Harvey Marion County CDDO nominated Randy Dolphy to serve a 3-year term by unanimous vote. The appointed term would be July 1, 2018 through June 30, 2021.
So, I think that's wonderful that you're willing to do that. I would certainly approve that. But I do have a question on it.
on their bylaws, is that the way they appoint them? So if they do that, then the board doesn't need to take any action if that's the way their board does it?
We've always,
Because they're making the appointment, so I'm wondering if maybe, and I'm trying to do everything standard and right, different boards have got bylaws as to how appointments are made. And I'm not, I want you to be on the board, that's wonderful, but I just want to make sure that we're doing that right. So, what does their bylaws say? Do you know?
I don't know. Do you know
I
how you
don't
guys
have, I haven't done one with me.
voted in the past?
I thought the Marion County Commission had always decided, you know, for commission representative here, between us here, that we went ahead and voted for it too. But that's what I thought.
So actually, we would be approving their appointment, is that the way it would go then?
So, yeah, I would think.
So what, do we need a motion then?
Well, that's what I'm asking right now, because like I said, it says that they approved it unanimously.
Mhm.
So if it's, I don't know if that was just kind of a informational thing for us to know that that took place.
I think it is, but
That's the way I see it, so I don't see that we need to make any motion for it.
Yeah, their board voted on it.
And then what I would like to, if we can, I'd like to just, I could contact them, I'd like to get a copy of their bylaws, just to see if that's the way they do things. You know, and that's fine. But I think all the boards, you know, they have bylaws on how people are appointed, selected, and so on. So,
yeah, and we can also ask Mr. Vance for his input too, what he thinks.
okay, next.
Otherwise, that is all I have.
Are you kidding? That's all you
That's
have?
all I have. Yep.
Okay. Well, oh, here it is, I was looking for that. Okay, so this is the one right here. Okay, so I have a question then. On the 4-H arena, who is the person who is in charge of that? I don't know.
Fair board.
Who is it?
Fair
The
board.
fair
I
board
don't know who it is. Who's the person?
Oh, so it's just, yeah, the fair board,
Yeah.
but we don't know who that is.
I don't know who their committee member is right
President?
now. Chuck was,
Chuck McClendon was the president of that last year, but I don't know
Yeah,
if he
I
is
don't
this
either.
year.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking for that is because of the arena. There's a lot of people here in Marion County that ride horses, and for whatever reason, they don't allow them to use that arena to train horses and things like that. But so these people go to Newton and use their 4-H arena. And I'm just wanting to know, I'd like to talk to them to find out why we do it that way.
are we talking about the car pit where that's the same thing, where they do the car demo and the horses probably the
Yeah,
same together? It's all rodeos right there.
I think probably so, yes. So, I don't know, but I was contacted a couple times by this group and I failed, I should have brought it up.
Why wouldn't
Months
they
ago.
just use the rodeo arena area to train horses? Because the 4-H arena was built basically for showing animals.
Well,
and
that's-
it wouldn't be of a size to
Well,
train a
maybe it
horse.
is the rodeo, it's wherever the.
Well, that's why I asked that question, because I didn't know which one we was talking about.
Okay, I'm thinking about where they show the animals.
Yeah, that's the 4-H arena
That's
to
a
me.
4-H arena.
Okay, so then so it would be, which one did you say it would be? Do you know who has that?
Well, they have a
It's the same
rodeo
thing.
arena.
Okay, well, okay, the
Yeah,
arena
Where
where
the
they.
demo
Yeah.
derby is.
That's the one I'm
I
referring
mean,
to.
for horses, it would seem like they would need a lot larger area.
Yeah, yeah.
Demo derby area?
Now,
So, but,
and I don't know whether that area is controlled by the city.
I don't,
I don't know either.
the city oversees the demo derby because they use their own employees
Yeah.
when they have the demo derby, so I
Well,
can't.
maybe I'll contact the city and see that they can direct me, so I get to the right place.
Either that
Anyway.
or Chuck. Chuck would be a good person to talk to. I don't know, if we find out who the president is, would be the proper person right now.
What did you say his last name was?
Chuck McClendon, MC, and then Linde.
Ian.
Okay, I'll find out who that is and see what's happening. I said that these people have been, they're driving to Newton to do in a facility what we have right here that they would be able to do. So I don't know what the deal is, but I told them I would check it out for them.
A lot of them use the one at Canton too.
And it's, yeah, exactly. They mentioned that to me as well, and it's only because they're not allowed to use this one. So it just seems kind of
That's
bizarre
news to me. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't either.
I've heard that.
I don't either. So then the next thing I will bring up is, I have the official resignation of David Mueller from the Economic Development Group. And so I have already asked several different people, and I don't have anybody at this point in time to put in his place. I'm still working on it. I have a gentleman who is thinking about it. So it will take some time to replace him. So I just want everybody to know that he has officially resigned and won't be participating in that group any longer.
Since you're on that, I might report that I'm in contact with an individual in regards to the Amy Doan position also.
Okay.
Hopefully there might be something forthcoming in there.
Yeah, it's kind of, I've talked to like 3 people, and 2 of them, stellar people, knowledgeable, but just said at this point in time they're not interested, but then this other gentleman said that he would at least consider it. So,
I asked them to come before us for maybe on the budget meeting on the 6th, if we're still having that on the 6th, July 6th budget meeting. I believe, I don't see it on the calendar, but I think that's what we decided on, is the
I think
6th.
so, right after the meeting,
After the budget?
yeah.
Yeah, or have them present their budget, see what they was asking for this next year.
Let me see, do you have anything that you could bring up, Randy? Anything that you'd like to,
Well, my list is so long, we don't have time today.
okay?
Nothing else, nothing really, except for roads. I've got the back roads, we've got highway traffic down there in the Peabody area, Highway 50 traffic, and the back road out of Peabody has got quite a few road holes, and we've got them patched with rock right now and stuff, but people wonder what.
You talked about the road down to Eldon?
No, the road back towards, they're bypassing the road traffic and going around out of Peabody the back way, 60th Street,
Yeah.
going west, going to Harvey County.
Yeah, you always have that when you get a construction
Yeah,
project.
yeah, it seems to be quite a busy road right now, and getting a lot of conversation on it.
Actually, can I trouble you for a couple of sheets of paper? I noticed I brought everything but my tablet.
Can we just get you a tablet?
They're getting ready, looks like the bridge work is on Highway 50 in Harvey County, it's pretty well, I think they're just letting it set, make the cement's run, letting it set and cure maybe.
Which bridge is that?
Right on Highway 50, they got a stoplight set there on about 4 miles west of town, west of Peabody. And as soon as they get the cement gets set, looks like then the blacktop plant is getting ready to fire up, so.
Thank you very much.
So there's gonna be some action with the blacktop resurfacing Highway 50.
Is it resurfacing? Is it, it's not a chip and seal, it's an actual
No,
resurface?
I think it'll be a resurface, I think, Diane, don't quote me
I
on that.
understand.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's gonna be, the way it looks, they got the mill out there, I mean, the machine that melts things, so, big burner.
Okay. So, well, we still have some time. Does anybody in the public have any? Carl, go ahead.
I think years ago on that arena over there, they stopped them because of broken glass and metal pieces from the derby.
It would have been injuring the horses.
Yeah.
That was-
People falling off. You know, there's got to be a lot of broken glass out there.
At one time, there was a concern at that, but I thought it was right after the Derby, and they had to wait till they could get that cleaned up.
There
Yeah,
was something I've
but
read.
I think you're right, Carl, that there was something, Carl, yes. But I didn't think maybe after a year or so, maybe it was.
It could be. It'd be hard to clean up any of that stuff.
Well, it probably would be just metal parts because they're not allowed to have any glass in
Yeah.
those vehicles.
Yeah.
Not supposed to.
That's been, it's been 10 years ago when they had that little ordeal. I don't remember exactly.
But that would probably make sense in a way, but, yeah,
But I think they have one at Canton also.
yeah.
Derby?
Yeah.
So, well, it'll be interesting. I'll try to make contact with, see who I can get a call and find out what the scoop is. So does anybody else have anything to say in the public at this time? Nothing?
Oh, yeah, there's a guy sitting over here. He's just asked this question, what we was gonna do for ice and you know, I advised him that we bought 3 trucks for when the ice storm gets here. Now, we haven't went as far as deep in sand and salt yet, and how far we're going with salt, but that is, and I'd just like to hear his viewpoint from the superintendent's point of view on the ice, what he sees when we get out here and coming in. So, if you have anything to say about it, Ron, why?
I'm Ron Traxton, superintendent at Peabody Burns.
Okay.
And last year when the sand truck went down, I mean, it affects us particularly on the road between Burns and Peabody. Any blacktop, you know, that gets a little ice on it, you know, a little bit of sand, will take care of it. And definitely sand and salt, and definitely if we're able to hit, you know, come from 3 different directions or whatever at the same time. Early in the morning is important for the buses and the safety of the kids that are driving in. You know, gravel roads will get slick, and with ice, it really doesn't matter. Everything just gets glazed over. But definitely the blacktop. And so, yeah, it was a concern. Definitely, I heard a lot of issues, and I always hear quite a bit on our road between Burns and Peabody anyway, because there's a couple sections that'll drift. We don't get out there early enough to move that snow. Then it gets back down, and then you got those spots on it. So in the last couple of years, we've had more ice than snow, and so definitely, you know, having trucks out there early enough. And you got, you know, remember we start, and we delay. Even if you delay an hour, we're still out on the road. You know, an hour or 2, we're still out on the road. Just after the sun rises, and so it's really important for us to get those trucks out there, get that sand on everywhere. I mean, not just for the buses and the kids, but it's the people going to work, and we do have a lot of kids that drive themselves on the road, and that's countywide. That's not just my district; that's every district. So it's important to get that covered.
Hopefully our idea, I think we're all under the impression that we've got 3 trucks now, maybe one north, one middle of the county, and one south end of the county, so that we can do something a little quicker than what we've done.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier about the road going out west out of Peabody, and a couple spots on the road between. One of the main things with that blacktop is the soft. I mean, where it's breaking down on the side. Tell you what, when I've got a bus out there, and if they're meeting anybody, they have got to slow down to nothing, because they may hit one of those, and that'll rock a bus right off the road because it's really soft on the side. It does need to be built up, shored up, and there needs to be some work on those roads. Even though it's blacktop, it'll catch you off guard if you've got to pull over a moving vehicle. There's some big holes on the side of the pavement.
Thank you, Ron. Like I said, I know it's a concern of our public, period, and, you know, they think we're not addressing it, but we're
I understand.
Yeah, we're trying to get it addressed.
Yeah, if you can get all the roads to run as smooth and straight as the timber's great now from Watchorn Corner south.
That's all you have?
That's
That was-
all I have at this time.
Yeah.
I'm here early because I have to leave early for a funeral, and we're on the agenda as superintendents at 10.
Oh, I see, okay. Well, you might be able to get to that a little early, hopefully, huh?
Hopefully
You're
they'll
ready to
show
go
up.
on. Yeah, okay.
Randy is out there, I noticed.
Yep, Randy is out there. Before we bring Randy in, is this just gonna be a discussion to talk to Randy, or is this gonna be an executive session, or what's coming down
Well,
here?
probably we should have a short executive session.
Okay, so, I am going to say, we'll have an executive session, but I'm gonna put it to the end, because I want legal counsel to be a part of it. So, depending on the subject matter, legal counsel needs to be a part. So since Mr. Jansen's running late, we'll do it at the end of the meeting. So would you have Brandy come in here, please? And I know he has things to do up at Trade Wind this morning. So, good morning, Randy.
Good morning.
Randy, our legal counsel isn't here, and I think you have some appointments and stuff up at Trade Wind. Am I right this morning?
We're working on a wholesale exercise.
Yes, okay, so, I'm gonna go ahead and push it to the end of the meeting, and, depending on the subject matter of it, I think I could probably answer most of the questions that they have, but if not, you would be available later on if they have some questions?
Actually, I'm going to be on vacation this afternoon.
Okay, well, we won't be here this afternoon,
Oh, okay.
so, okay.
What time are we looking at?
I don't know, depends, because we have a full agenda with attorneys and different things coming up, so if we call you, we'll see what happens then, okay? Thank you.
Thanks, man.
And Jesse is here to go ahead and fill in the space. So we'll just keep trucking along and see how we can.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you, Jesse. Well, it's good to see you back,
Yeah. Good to be back.
walking.
Heck yeah.
How about jumping jacks and
No.
stuff like that? Oh, okay.
We won't be doing them.
Okay.
Those are some summer help and seasonal help.
Okay, so we have some more salary changes, and this looks like a part-time seasonal help named Ozzy. Can you say that last name?
Roscoe.
Orozco, thank you. $10 an hour. And what will he be doing?
He's been mowing and
Mowing
flagging.
and things, okay.
Yeah.
Connor Montgomery is another part-time seasonal help, $12 an hour. And what will he be doing?
Say mowing, roller, flagging, stuff like that.
Okay. And another one, the same thing. This is Riley Hake, saying that right?
Yes.
Okay. Part-time seasonal help, $12 an hour. Same thing, I assume?
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Well, now that we got rain, maybe it'll be something to mow, huh?
Seems like them ditches grow no matter what.
Yeah, because of what's growing, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Bridge number 40 on the Dickinson County line, Marion County line. Bid letting took place on the 20th last week. There was 5 bidders on that. King Construction, Reese Construction, L&M Contractors, Ebert Construction, and Bridges Incorporated. KDOT called me and informed me that King Construction was the low bid of $331,540. We are needing those to proceed along with that. We need to have signatures from everyone on that.
Okay. So who opened these bids?
This is all KDOT. Since this is the
Okay,
off-system bridge program, it's all through KDOT.
all righty.
And the very last page shows you the numbers of all the other bidders.
Ah, yes, I do see that. King
See, Bridge,
Construction.
King Construction, I believe, has done 2 or 3 bridges in this county in the past. Bridges Incorporated just did the one on Alfalfa north of Highway 50. Looks like they came in at the high bid, so, but, yeah,
Low bid on one, high bid on
yeah.
That's all.
I'm just curious, where are they out of? I've never,
King, they're out of Heston,
yeah, I have.
yes.
Good.
and I believe that last page shows where they're all out of too.
Right, I overlooked that. I must be not seeing it, just as
Is it at all-
construction and company and subsidiaries.
Does it say to the far right at all? No, okay, I'm sorry, I thought it was on there.
That's okay, I was just curious
Okay.
on that particular one.
Okay.
Does she get
County
this?
clerk will need to sign yes. And then I need to get them sent back.
Okay.
Is that all running through us, or is it running through Dickinson and us?
No, through us, and I'm trying to relay everything back
Okay.
to them. So. What I have here is, I know at one time, Randy had asked the update on Nighthawk and 60th with Cook Flat Strobel, so here's just an update for you three to read. I have 4 of them here to pass to Ashley as well.
Nighthawk and 60th.
Yeah. They did the boring of the road and took some samples, and
Okay.
looks like early July is when we'll see some numbers and of what it could cost us.
Well, you want a copy of this for the, okay, we'll get you a copy of it.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could do. You want to give this to Rhonda so she can make some copies real quick?
Yeah, you might want to make at least 2, I think.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. He's walking a little slow.
Lily's in Kemper.
Okay, well, it simply said that they wanted to give us a little update on Nighthawk and 60th Road study. To date, they have completed the field sampling as well as the field reconnaissance of the crossroad pipes, boxes, bridge guardrails, etc. We are currently working on the laboratory testing for various levels of cement content mix with the ground asphalt and soil-based material, as well as the construction cost estimate. Our plan is to have a preliminary copy of the report to you in early July for your review. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you, Kenny Blair. Kenny Blair, CFS engineer, out of Topeka, Kansas, is what it simply says. Sounds good.
So,
Okay.
just wanted to give you that update.
Okay, thank you.
And as of right now, that's all I have for you.
Okay.
Got anything for me?
I do.
Okay?
This is the craziest thing. I got this in the mail.
Okay?
Why? I don't know. But this little device, I'm just going to give it to you just for fun because it's,
Okay.
this little device right here is, no matter what you do with it, it does gravel roads and dirt roads in 2 passes, crowns them and everything. It's supposed to be, I don't know, I want you to read it and look at it. I read it. It is the nicest. I
Yeah,
haven't seen anything like that, but
I think I just got one of those Saturday.
oh, so you got one too. It does seem interesting. I don't know anything about it.
You know, I've seen a lot of those on a smaller scale, you know, for like driveways and stuff. And it appears they do a really nice job.
They say that this right here is on a lot of counties that are going to that. And like I say, you make 2 passes, whether it's rock or dirt or whatever, and you may keep the flyer.
Yeah, it's something
I
you know.
don't need it.
It's not, you got to pull it with a tractor.
Yeah, you can pull it with the tractor, but I don't know it, and I don't know the cost or anything. It just struck me odd. It says perfect crown every time. No adjustments. You set it and go, or it's set or something. But how interesting.
Can't see where they. I'll have to look into it. But it doesn't look like there's a PTO, so I'm wondering, can a grader pull it?
Well, it's possible.
I mean, I just thought it was fascinating, and I just thought, wow.
I'll look more into it.
I would think there would be some kind of hydraulics on it though. Maybe not.
Have our pickups out there pulling, fixing all this road.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
And then, so I have another question here, and I know you've been out. I know
Go ahead.
whatever. I was just wondering if you have, because I know you're aware of 330th from Highway 50 east to Tampa, to Limestone, the new road,
15 east, okay.
50 east. Okay,
I thought you said 50.
330.
330, okay.
Okay, and all the cracks that are appearing on that, I'm just wondering, I have a lot of people that have, so I took some pictures of
Yes.
some, and I brought up before, and I was just wondering what your plan and thought is on that.
Well, my plan thought, I mean, if you guys are wanting to do a quick deal, I could get quotes from Hall Brothers and Circle C and do it. But you guys did tell me you would like for us to try our crack seal machine out when we did Sunflower.
Mhm.
So in the fall or spring, I was gonna plan on doing the crack sealing on that. Or at least making that one road for us to try it out, because we've never tried crack sealing ourselves. We have the equipment to do it, but I'm just not for sure how well we're gonna do it. If you want it knocked out quick, you guys seen how Sunflower went along. You know, Circle C did a fine job in my opinion, but it's kind of up to you. But it wouldn't take place until fall or spring, because those are when your cracks are, when it's cooler temperatures is when your cracks are the widest and the biggest, and that's when you can get your more material in them.
So I'm just wondering, with cracks of these sizes, would, if we get into a rainy season, we might be
It's
slowing.
unfortunate,
Would
yeah,
that-
I mean,
What
yeah.
would that do? Would that,
Well,
hinder the
that's
base
the whole point of crack seal or chip seal, is sealing up your cracks. Preventative maintenance, they call it. Keeping the worst enemy to a road is water. Whether it's dirt, gravel, or asphalt, especially asphalt. That water gets down there and can start disrupting your subgrade. So, yeah, I mean,
and I'm just asking.
it's a good road, and that's why I did the onyx seal on it last year, because it was a great road and I wanted to keep it great. And it had been 5 years since it'd been overlaid, and then all of a sudden, I think maybe that time of not doing any preventive maintenance in 5 years ended up leading to cracks. You know, I think a lot of this dry spells are just as damaging as rain spells. And that's what we had. We had, 8 to 12 months of no rain, so that hurt us just as bad. And I think once we did get some moisture this last winter here, and then all of a sudden that's when I finally seen the cracks show up, and that was disappointing because we just put that onyx seal to try to prevent that, but it could have been too late.
Yeah.
So
Does that crack seal machine require any special training?
I've sent guys a training, but since we've never used it, I have one guy left that's went to training on it, so we're just gonna have to try to get it up and going and just learn from it. Because we've had it for quite a few years, but we never have used it.
So you had mentioned about having somebody come in and do it. So I'm asking you, what would you recommend? Do you think that by leaving these cracks like this, that we could go till fall or spring,
I
or
could-
whenever you said?
I
without-
could call the 2 companies that we got bids last time. I don't know how busy they are with their chip seals right now with other, but that is a very nice road, and I'd like to keep it nice. If there's a possibility that they have an opening here this month or so, and it would work great for them, I would like to maybe give them a shot at it. I mean, they came in with a bid of 32, and they were low bid. It ended up being 29,000, and that was 10-mile stretch. This is a 4-mile stretch. I'm thinking it would come in a lot less.
That was a lot of cracks.
That was a lot of cracks.
Yeah. How many is it?
Oh, I have, it's all throughout the whole.
It's starting to really
Oh, 4 miles.
progress.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I mean,
Yeah.
They didn't do it last year.
yeah, they weren't
I
there
didn't-
last year.
yeah, I
I
didn't see it
checked
last year.
several times
But
before
you
this
see,
onyx
they
seal
go all
got
the
put
way
on.
across the road. And what I did was I tried to get close up to
Right.
the depth of how wide, well,
Yeah.
that's exaggerated. How wide they are and things like that, and because of coloring, cute. But yeah, there's several of these like this, and like I say, very wide and some, and I was just, boy, it is a nice road, and I
Yeah.
sure hate to, but again, I was just asking you
Mhm.
what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I mean, if we're having a professional crew get in there, yeah, I can see what their timeline would be and what the price could be. If you want 2 quotes, I can get 2 quotes. Or we can just wait it out, and it just seems like they're progressing.
This company that you're talking about come in at the low bid last time.
Circle C paving.
See, I don't know, commission, get a quick bid from them, see what.
Yeah, I think I'd be in favor of going ahead and checking with them
Let's
just to
look
see.
at
And
it.
they may say they're so far out that it's not gonna matter, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice to know anyway.
Okay. I can do that and see what their timeline is too.
Yeah, I would have no problem getting a bid, we don't hear anything.
Okay.
So then while we're talking on the roads, I just wanted to ask you this. I did some checking on roads, and it's so interesting to me, this rock thing. And so I was up at Tradewind going on some of these roads and stuff, and some of these rock roads, and I was under the impression that all the rock roads that they're building up there are the slurry cement
No.
base.
Not all.
That, yeah, I learned that. So, yeah, you knew. And it was interesting because you really can't tell the difference, which
Correct.
one it is and which one it isn't. And that was also told me that you try to find out which one it is and which one it isn't. Well, anyway, so you know that they put you probably already know that they put a 4-inch, you know, do all that packing, rocking and all that stuff down. And so it's just intriguing to me, and I can't stop thinking about this, is how nice their roads are. So I'm just wondering, so what I did was I took it a little bit further and I was asking, what does it cost to make a road like this? Because I know you're about rock money, and I think you said at some point in time you spent about $15,000 at rock or a mile or something to that effect. So they spent $24,000 a mile to do this. And I'm just wondering if maybe, and I'm just asking this question, if maybe we should think about redoing, because this right here now is a picture of the road of the Heights, the house that they're building on limestone that we just done,
Oh, yeah.
and this is right after rain. And both of these pictures were taken the same day. So this is right after rain, and you can see already what we put down there is just not the same. And I'm wondering if maybe by skimping like we are, and have to go back and go back. I was told that if we go down several places, I have several places to go where they built these roads, built cement slurry, just whatever, that some of them are standing up almost 7 years and looking really nice yet, with just very minimal maintenance. I'm just wondering if the county wouldn't be dollars ahead.
As far as, I would like to clarify, as far as our like full rebuilds, I know we rated that, that's not a full mile, but we rated it at 400 ton to the mile. When we did that, as you can see, there is no top rock yet, but I wanted some rain to get down on it, and I also told our blademen, when it does rain, go ahead and we'll roll it. Just keep going back and forth to try, if we got weak spots, then we need to dump some more bigger stuff on before we cap it with top rock. So, in all honesty, we got the rock down, but we're not finished with it. So yeah, I had a feeling we were going to see, because going from a dirt road, always been a dirt road, to rock, a lot of that's just going to,
Yeah.
you know, just get buried down. And then the way we did it, we had rollers and packers all on another project. So we didn't really get to sheep's foot it or roll it down, pack it down. So that's why I was kind of waiting to put the top rock on, because I had a feeling it was going to get weak yet.
Okay.
But yes, I'm not using near the rock that wind farms are, but I'm still trying to build a base there, because what you have a picture of is right. I had a feeling that was going to happen.
Okay. And I pointed this out because since we are charging them to build the base,
Yes,
I would like to build a base.
correct, and that's
Yeah.
why I just didn't want to go through top rock on it and know that that base probably isn't done yet, you know.
So they're using the cement slurry up there for a base, underneath before they put rock on.
No, well, they're putting rock, they're using the dirt and rock and everything and mixing that. That's how they get that.
Well, they are putting the cement slurry on some of the roads.
Yes.
The roads that will carry the bulk of the weight. The roads where they actually are going to have the towers and carrying the weight. They are putting the cement slurry there. But the ones that are just going to use basically normal truck stuff, they're not. So the point there was whether they use the slurry base or just do their build like they build them. They're saying that you can't tell the difference by looking at them, and they're just as strong and last a long time without using it. It does cost an additional $10,000 to do the slurry, but now they say those roads, once they put the slurry on, of course everything is a little different there, but could last up to 15 years. minimal maintenance.
This 340 is a pretty busy road. When I was up there, there was trucks after trucks on 340 coming off of 15 going west. That's why I was wondering if they used the sequence story on this.
But
I
you know,
don't think so.
they, as soon as they dump and level, I mean, they've got a huge packer
Yeah.
that is right on top of it then. And so,
And they wet it, and then they do it again.
so, you know, the process is different.
And that was my point. Maybe the process is what we need to change. I'm just saying this, if this is the result for an additional, how many $1,000s, and then we don't have to keep doing rock every year, maybe we should start considering this for some of our heavier travel. I'm just bringing this out because it's so stunningly different, you know what I mean? And I do know that the volume of rock that they buy, that they're probably getting it a lot cheaper than what we are. But I'm thinking you should be able to get it at the same price. Or darn close to it. We should be able to.
I don't know the price that they're getting.
I don't know that
Yeah.
yet either, but I'm gonna be finding out, but that's gonna be,
Well, if it's significant, I wanna know.
yeah, oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
because it's for the county,
Correct.
and that's the only point, is we're going to do the best we can for the county.
Correct.
So, yeah, I'm gonna find out what they're paying, and, I'm thinking, sometimes, you know, if they're buying their rock super cheap, we need to be able to do the same thing, basically, even if we have to pay up front for a year's rock, if the cost is so, I don't know, but I know they're buying large volumes, so I expect deep discounts.
But we don't have a machine comparable to what they use to pack, I don't believe.
We got a lot of smaller stuff. I mean, that's what we're using. We're implementing everything we've got to be able to pack and.
You know, I mean, to do it right, you need a machine like that for the packing process, I would think.
Yeah, and then, yeah, water tanker and all that stuff.
Yeah, water.
You know. Keep applying water and that.
When we build a base for, you know, I don't know what you've done lately, Jesse, but when we built a base for blacktop before, we used the water and packers and inch foots and tractors. That's been our
Yes.
compaction way.
Yes.
And so I don't know what exactly they're using,
I don't know either, I don't know their
but
equipment, but
we have.
All I know is their machine is really large.
Yeah.
for the ones that we used in the past, the roads have been, that you're talking about, they're doing fine, right?
Right now, the road that you were just talking about, the crack sealing, Tampa Road, that was all done with our machinery. We compacted it just with our packers and everything.
The nice thing there is 6 inches of asphalt.
That's the big thing right
That's
there
the
on,
big thing.
from Tampa west to 15 is 6 inches of asphalt. But we still had to have a base.
Correct.
And it was tested as good as any other base. When we put that blacktop on it, we would have had to re-tear it down and rebuild it. But they said it was tested just as good as then, so. So I'm just saying that,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I was just
But
asking
it's
a
good
question.
I'd like to know what's going on with that.
I
Because
would too, because I mean, it's true, there's like
Nine.
$7,000 difference
Not, yeah, 9,
in a
yeah.
mile. Well, I know that's less.
And I, you know, before I left on my leave, I had said, you know, 4 to 6 inches thick of rock, you're gonna have a good road. But
we have.
there, you know, I'm watching my money or our money and doing what we can to.
And I understand that,
Yeah.
and here we are midway stream, that I'm bringing this up.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think even the people, if they realize that we can only do so many, if this turns out to be feasible or whatever, if we can get our stuff together to do something like this, and people start seeing that we're building these kind of roads, I think they'd be more than patient and realize that you're not gonna do all the roads in a year or two, you know, but if we do start doing it similar or however we can, and start building a road that will last years and years, I think the county would really be dollars ahead. Just my thought from what I'm learning.
I think what I talked to you about every 3 miles or 5 miles, whatever it is, a major road going through on a rock road or something like that. I think I'd be more than interested to see if we could possibly, but we're still gonna have 10 miles at 15,000, you're gonna have to set a budget for it every year to.
Well, especially if you're doing a rebuild on it.
Yeah, do it
To
completely.
go ahead and spend the extra money.
Yeah.
On the former road guy before me, we did 1/20th as a prime example. Great road right now, great road, and it's gonna be that way for a while as long as we keep maintaining. It's a rock road.
120th?
Yeah, it goes from Indigo to Nighthawk.
Okay.
But he did it the way everyone says we need to do it, and I agree 100%. And he used rock and rock and rock and rock. I mean, he started with big stuff. Now, luckily, we had 30 inches of rain in 1 month to really pound that down. That was another great thing from the man upstairs. But when that all packed down, I mean, but then even he admitted, man, there's no way we can do all these roads with the amount of rock we did on that 4-mile stretch all through the county. Keep doing this year after year, because it's just, and it's a great road, but it was, you know, and yeah, if you ever go take a look at it, it's still there. It has a crown. It's still no flaws.
There's a wide road. It was an old blacktop turned into a rock road
Years ago.
And it was a wide road, just too much to maintain. So they pulled the shoulders, they did everything to it, and built a base in it. It is a good example of what the crew's done, and that's been, how long has Randy been gone?
That happened in, that was in 2013.
That's been 5 years.
Yep. And it's holding up great. So that was a road that is a lot of rock. Probably needs a little touch up of top rock right now, but man, you know. So that's exactly what you're describing. The wind farms and stuff are just, you know.
They're just putting a ton, they're putting more rock on anything than what we,
Yeah.
unless we rebuild the road. You can't go through the roundabout of Florence without meeting a rock trail. I think that's where
Yeah.
is that where they get most of
Yeah,
it?
they
Out of Florence right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
they're not doing it out of Lincoln.
No. So,
And I think they changed to Florence because of the whole route. They all, that's why it's on the highway that it's Florence Road. So, because I thought at first it was something just to call it a rock, but I was wrong. It's not. It's because of the whole route. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I have one final thing to bring up, and that is, it was mentioned that Rez wants to do some community work, of course, in the area that they're doing their project, and one of the things they want to do is the new lighting and stuff at the park there in Tampa, the ball diamond and stuff is where they're going to start. I don't know what all they're going to do. I don't have a clue what's on the next thing, but they had a question as to whether or not we would have a problem with them driving on 330th this one piece of equipment, which is, I don't know if it's a crane or what it is, but to get up to the lighting, to do that project, just go there, do it, and leave. And
I think I would like to first know what kind of piece of equipment, and then I think it kind of comes down to you three commissioners making that decision. You know, I'm just trying to follow by the rules and the haul routes. I'm okay with them helping, bettering the community, if that's, you know, that I would just kind of like to maybe take an inspection. I know we just had an inspection done because we allowed a 96-wheel truck and trailer on 330th last week. Did an inspection on that and stuff. So I know we have those reports of inspections, so I think we just need to stay in contact when it's going to happen and what kind of equipment it is, and then you three make the decision, yay or nay. But I'm for it. If they can kind of help a community out or something.
and I heard that too, that it would go through all the inspection. That
Okay.
wouldn't be anything that would not, I mean, it's not anything, excuse me, that would be not inspected or anything like that, that they would go through the process, but just use that road, just to get there.
Yeah, I don't see a problem.
I've heard that was a little transformer. A little one.
Yeah, a little one.
Yeah, that took that many vehicle tires to
Yeah.
talk, yeah.
Yeah.
You can just imagine how big it was.
Yeah.
So, that's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse. Have a good one.
You too.
Are you expecting anybody else from your
Yeah.
group? And they're here?
Morning.
Morning.
Greg Parsons.
We're a little bit early, you may come on up.
Is that all right?
Sure.
Are you the speaker today, John?
I guess I am, but I've got
Come right
helpers.
over here. Come right at the end here. The rest of you come right up too. It'll make no difference. Sure.
Max Heinrichs.
Nice to meet you.
See you, Matt.
Yeah, just see ya. How you doing? Good.
Good,
And
John.
so, yes,
Nice to
Rachel
meet you.
Cross, yeah.
How are you doing?
Good morning. We
Okay.
have just short, I think you had this in your packet to share with you on behalf of the Marion County Superintendents. First of all, thank you for the work that you do for the county. And I think do you have a letter? I have copies if you need it, okay?
I'm digging for mine. I think I have
Sure.
it here
I have extras if
somewhere.
you need it, so. There were just two concerns we wanted to share with you. One has to do with hearing and vision. For years, we've contracted, Marion County Special Ed has contracted with the county for hearing and vision support services across the county. And most of us don't have the personnel to provide that, so it's been done through the health department. And we've been told that that will be discontinued, and we were hoping that we can look into finding a way to continue those services. The second has to do with Healthy Kids and Safe Start. I think there has been a person contracted in the past. I think right now Marion County is contracting with someone who comes from Harvey County. They come once a day. But the services that are supposed to get out into the county don't seem to be happening the way maybe they ought to be happening for services that help get to fact early childhood intervention and such. So that's a summary of what's in the letter. I don't want to take a lot of time on that, but to share with you. I don't know if Mr. Traxon, Mr. Heinrichs would like to add additional comments about that.
One thing about the hearing and vision screening, the Marion County Special Ed Co-op does pay for that.
Yes.
And it was through a service from the health department. And from what we understand, they're having a rough time finding a nurse
To do it.
to
Yeah.
do that, but we really have that need, so that's why we're trying to see if we can make that happen sometime.
And we're willing to continue those payments to make that happen. I don't know what it takes to get the right personnel or what we need to Marion County to get that staffed.
We have plenty of time.
Okay.
And so, because you're 10 minutes early, so we
Sure,
lots of time.
that's fine.
So, can you go into a little more detail for me on this, what all is involved and what?
Yeah. The hearing, the health department comes out and makes contact with all the schools, the elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools, and they do the hearing and vision tests all across the county for each of us. The larger schools have some nursing services available. The smaller schools, we don't have that available. And so it's a bit of a challenge for the rest of us to find a way to get that service taken care of. We pay for that through the Marion County Special Ed Co-op as reimbursement for whatever expenses they incur. If they don't continue that service, we're not really quite sure how we'll continue to reach out and connect with those services. It's something that it helps us to identify needs of young children early, so we can make sure we are addressing what needs to be taken care of for them. The other part with this Healthy Kids and Safe Start, this is a program that really does a lot to help the young families in the county, and if we can be an advocate for helping Marion County be attractive for young families, we understand that there are resources with child seats that simply need to be, the contact needs to be made to we can get the child seats out to the young families who need them. As well as I think there's also bicycle helmets apparently that are available, as well as life jackets that could be made available. I'm told they just simply need to make the contact, get out to the families and get in contact with them. That's also how FACT, Families and Communities Together, makes contact with families in Marion County. That's also important for the early childhood interventions, for WIC, for parents as teachers, because they rely on that person for a lot of, to know who in the county has had a young child born and begin making contact, and that's how the schools make the contact also, to become aware of each of our districts, who's available, who we need to get in for preschools and begin seeing and connecting with. So.
Looking for an early intervention on that is really what we're looking for when we get those contacts, and I think we've seen some good improvement right
Yeah.
now. We're looking at our 3-year-old preschool students, and we currently don't have an identified special needs student, which maybe that's helped, maybe that's not, maybe this is a problem that we're not seeing that. But usually we're about 8 to 10% of our population has some kind of special need that we found was not identified this year. So we're hoping that's a good thing, that all of our early services are taking care of that, but at the same time, it's never been that way in my time.
The discussion with the hearing and vision, losing it, prompted a little more discussion with what we're starting to lose, what we've realized that we've lost with Healthy Start programs and such. Parents and teachers relied heavily on that for early intervention, for identification, and right now parents and teachers have to rely on the school districts more to try to help them. They're not getting what there was as far as some early identification 4 years ago. There's even some, I mean, the person that was in charge of that 4 years ago, I believe, still on the website. It doesn't even identify, who's in charge of that right now. But that's very important, as has been stated, for the early intervention, identification, getting those families and letting them know what is available for them. This is kind of similar to the issue that we had with the FACT program. If we're not on top of that, they lose funding for programs that our people in our community, young people and families and children, can benefit from if we're not tapping into that. And so the concern came up that our last discussion a week ago Wednesday was, what are we missing out on? We don't know, even as superintendents, we don't know what we're missing out on, but we do know that we've lost a step in there. I do have a personal inroad. My wife works with parents as teachers, and when I told her I was come up here and we're discussing that, she was excited because she said, yeah, they've really dropped their ability for contact. I mean, I know that she's always asking me, for information from the school district as far as I help them identify. And so it's not a question of, it's more of a question of what are we missing out on, and what should we step back up in doing. It's like anything, you lose a piece at a time, and you don't look down. And we're looking back, what we've lost over maybe the last 3 or 4 years as far as services for our kids, and as has been pointed out, that early intervention, kindergarten readiness, early intervention, and if you look at the county needs, we need a strong program for our families in this county. There's a lot of families that need that benefit of knowing where to go and who to get those contacts.
The Hearing and Vision Department, they've done a great job with the services, and that's one of the reasons why we don't want to lose it, because it's been a great service for us, and they've done a great job. As Ron was saying, we're feeling more pressure from the state level to put greater emphasis on early childhood intervention, early childhood education, which is why we're working harder for preschools and so forth. But so consequently, that puts greater pressure on us to identify families with young children, early childhood education needs, and use all of these resources available to help families make connections and feel supported in the county.
Teacher, do you have anything to add to this, as far as what
Well,
we do?
I mean, we do have Healthy Start currently, and the way it's structured is we do it in partnership with Harvey County. They have a visitor that comes down. The Healthy Start home visitor comes the 2nd and 4th Thursday of every month. She works very closely with the WIC program. That's where she gets her data. She's from Harvey County, so she also gets obviously the births that are in Harvey County. She knows of them when they're born. Then we have a nurse that comes down from Harvey County the 4th Thursday to identify needs. We the days she's not here, she takes our WIC schedule or the schedule, she goes through that, she sends out letters. I can get a copy of that letter for you if you'd like to see it. She
maybe-
gives
sorry.
out, she also gives out this brochure, it's Parents as Teachers, but she can only do so much for referral. She can't make them call. And we too have found people that I think we have to look at the generation too. It's not as welcoming to get in people's houses quite as easy. And the Healthy Start program, although it's not advertised so much, was developed to get into people's houses, identify if there's abuse or such going on. That has evolved, that the statewide people are not making those home visits. I have actually brochures here, or a packet of the workforce surveys that I'll give to the commission, and you're welcome to look at it and see what public health does. And a lot of that Healthy Start home visits have been, counties have not been doing it. They've been dropping the program because of Parents as Teachers. Parents as Teachers goes in the house. They do a wonderful job. They, there was a lot of duplication of services. And as far as the Safe Kids, those were mini grants. And we don't get the helmets like we used to. We don't get there. In fact, we got a letter saying that the state no longer has the funding, but when they get some more funding, they will let us know. We applied for a laundry pod grant through Safe Kids. So we are trying to do those Safe Kids events. Now, as far as the hearing and vision goes, if I get a nurse hired, we can do that. It's really hard to, I'll be honest with you, to find a nurse to work for the salary that we give. And I was a school nurse for 17 years, and I know you guys are having a hard time too, because there's no way a nurse can do that on part-time, 20 hours a week. The school nurse can't. So I feel your pain, and I don't want to leave you. It's very important.
Is
very
it sort
vision.
is it continuing to look for a nurse, or has it sort of given up on finding a nurse that would do it?
Well, when I went to Dr. Shepard, I told him, I said, give the superintendents a heads up, because if we don't have a nurse, we can't do the services. And we are continuing. Right now, we're trying to reorganize. I thought maybe by making a nurse full-time, that would help. But I think the nursing world there's so many opportunities for a nurse. You can work 3 12-hour shifts, get paid more, and be off.
And
So-
just glad you're here to also ask some questions on the person who's contracted with Harvey County. Is that the same amount of time was that cut back on the amount of time that they came? Well, before that contract, was
For
there
the
more
Healthy
contracts? Yeah,
Start?
Healthy Start. I mean,
That
there was more time involved before that was contracted with Harvey
There
County. Is that
was
Harvey County?
a Healthy Start home visitor, but that was not her sole duty. I mean, she was hired at that, but I can't tell you at what point it went to a full-time job, but I know there was other duties. There was like child advocacy, there was the Healthy Start, the Safe Kids.
That position's been cut.
That position was cut. I went up to the board. Randy was on the board when that position was cut. The funding that we get from the state was not really adequate for what all they were expecting. So this was our best option, is to go through Harvey County. And to to be honest with you, I think that's what's gonna happen in the future. You know, there's gonna be more regionals, you know, I think or public health itself, because we are required to do communicable disease investigations. That is one, you know, under the law. And then also make sure that child care centers are licensed, which that's we're trying to reorganize.
Well, this may clearly be some of the challenges that we're up against with finances and the times, but it's just a concern to us that we're able to continue to find ways to connect with families, young families with needs who are preschool age, and how we reach out to them and how we connect them and grant them the resources that they need, and that can be made available to them. So.
Yeah, and that's what we are, you know,
Sure.
trying to reorganize, and I am open to any of your suggestions, because I do agree, it is necessary. I do know that Salina, when babies are born in Salina, we get referrals often, and those go to special ed.
Deidre, does that have to be a RN, LPN? What does that person have to be to do the screenings?
The screenings, it needs to be either an RN or an LPN. It, to do the hearing screens.
Okay.
And then they'll have to get certification. Now the vision, it could be a lay person that is just trained in doing that. And if you have any suggestions, I talked to Denise
Sure.
from Gossel, and she was gonna talk to a person, but
It's not going anywhere.
Okay.
That's right, that's
Yeah.
not happening.
yeah, and that's what we're up
Yeah.
against. I mean, it's getting
Okay.
tougher.
I know with the opportunities that the nurses have now, it is terribly difficult to fill that kind of thing. Is there any type of associations or groups that contain retired teachers? I mean, retired nurses?
Well, that is, I know some health departments are looking toward that, and they are getting
Because
retired.
it would
because-
seem like it might be easier to find a retired nurse to do 20 hours a week or something.
Well, and I will tell you, without giving out any names, I have approached a couple retired school nurses, and they aren't interested. I have, kind of got feelers out there, but it's just, it is kind of a seasonal thing, and that's why we had a full-time person. But I think oftentimes when we hire nurses, they don't realize what public health is, and it's not what they thought it was, and they get trained, and so they move on. So we're trying.
So our hearing and vision is not just, we're not able to do it because you're losing a nurse that did it last year. 'Cause
Right.
She did an outstanding job.
Right, she
We
did.
really did.
And I've talked to Dr. Shepherd. I said, why don't you contact, her,
Right.
contract with her. I just can't, with public health, morals and ethics, she's no longer with us.
Okay.
Do you have that information? Do you have her information?
Do I have any information?
Do you have her information?
No, I do not have her information.
I wasn't
Well,
sure.
maybe we can get it.
Yeah, we'll
Because
get it.
she is,
If she did a good
she
job.
would be awesome.
Got it.
And
Sure.
I would let special ed have the equipment.
Sure, okay. That was the other part, is we knew it would require special equipment, and we can't all invest in that, so.
Yeah, and that's what I realized, that
Sure.
was the hardship for the schools. And
Again, this is just, this was the kind of the tip of our iceberg. It's like, okay, we're losing this, and then we start looking at what else have we lost. And yeah, for us to lose this as a county, and for us not to have this service, it's disconcerting. And so this was kind of the tip of the iceberg as far as when we were discussing it as superintendents, and then looking back at what else have we lost that maybe the commission needs to be aware of that. You know, if you need, I know, if you need additional be able to
Staff.
provide for additional services, then the commissioners need to be aware that slowly but surely that we're chipping away at what we had, 5-10 years ago as far as services for our kids. We just don't have that. Sometimes it gets down the road and you forget what you lost.
Right, and I think we all have to understand that some of those things out there was fluff. We were able to provide a lot of fluff.
Do we still have helmets and stuff like that in the storage
We
somewhere?
still have helmets, we have,
And what are we doing to get those out there? Then?
that's, other events. I know parents as teachers, we've given some out to them when they have events. I will tell you, it was to the point where, like, life jackets were constantly were taken to the Head Start classrooms. And every year they were taken out, and I'm not sure they were being distributed like they should have been, because I would go to like secondhand stores, local ones, and they
The
would
helmets
have
are good to know,
helmets.
because like we have a Safe Kids Camp every year. And
Yeah,
okay.
that's
All
what.
right, and as far as life jackets, I know PAT, when they do their swim, they probably hit you up on that
Yeah.
at that time, so, it's just, like I said, we just wanted to bring this to the surface to say, oh, we don't wanna be losing too many of our services for our kids.
Yeah.
And hearing and vision really hits hard as far as, what we need to provide for our kids. We gotta identify them. If you have children, if we have a kid who's in the classroom that's not able to see the chalkboard, boy, I dated myself there. See the new touch screen, we need to help them. And so it's very important.
Well, and originally when we got the agreement with Special Ed Co-op, it was way back in the day
Mhm.
with John Black, and it was something that every year when the Special Ed changed administrators, it was like, okay, we aren't going to contract with you anymore. And so we would actually advocate for it. And so we could keep a nurse on staff. So,
Well, there's good news that you hear, bad news is that you hear because we're lacking service. But the good news is that people like Ashley Gans, Sandra Mayfield, and then whoever you're talking about that run the hearing and visions, and I don't know the nurse, I don't know whoever you're talking about there. But those people did move on for a while. I don't know, Ashley come back for a fact, I believe. But Sandra moved on and went on down the road, the Safe Kids person, and then this other person that makes us feel for good news that we, apparently, you've seen some of the quality people, and then then when we fail a little bit, here you come, and we've got to pick up our game just a little bit, so, and I don't know, like Deidre says, it's the tough part of that to do, so. And I think Deidre just came in, last week? And we talked about this, and so.
That's the budget, that's the,
On the budget, that's, so I think you're hearing and vision, that's one thing, one of my questions is, that was the equipment was getting up there in years, or?
right, that equipment was bought in '02, and, we just had it calibrated, and that's, was about $150. And, I mean, I'm willing to give that over to whoever. I don't really want to loan it out. I'd rather just get rid of it, because if it breaks, or if it's not handled.
And the Healthy Start, that has to be a nurse, correct?
No, that's a lay person.
But yet we're having Harvey County's nurse doing it, or?
Well, she comes and does, if someone has a medical card, they need a physical, she does nursing services. That's why she only comes once a month.
So, hearing you said could be a layperson, Healthy Start can be a layperson.
Healthy Start can be a lay person, which it is, because she's coming. And she would be willing to come to any of your meetings or what, you know. She will come to commission if you want to meet her
I just
and
look
her
at
supervisor will
how,
come.
apparently communications is not happening. That's what
Right.
we need to do.
Yeah,
I think it was a sense that previously there was a person who was a strong advocate for Marion County, a strong advocate for young families and getting things taken care of, and there was a sense that maybe that strong advocacy might not be as what it used to be, as sort of a concern. And hoping that someone who has maybe someone who has Marion County roots would have that kind of advocacy, but I don't know.
would FACT take over?
That would have to go to
Safe
fact, I
Kids?
don't know.
I mean, I've even thought about checking with the extension office to do Safe Kids. But we are starting to get some of those, like the laundry pod.
Do we have any idea as to what it costs to do these hearing and vision screenings?
Actually, David Shepard has those costs. I don't have them at my
We got
fingertips
those
right
from
now.
And
Howard.
I-
Yeah,
I
like
gave
6,500.
those, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
just a rough estimate.
Yeah.
That didn't include like the planning or the scheduling. But I brought those up to you all last week. It was like 6,500.
And those costs are covered by the school districts too.
Those, well, we
Right.
had that
Well,
agreement
right, exactly.
for 5,500 from Special Ed Co-op.
It's part of the assessment we pay to a special ed co-op to get that done, so.
Deidre, would it be wise to have some of these individuals just have a meeting with all the superintendents? Just for communications purposes, or?
You mean the Healthy Start?
Yeah.
Sure, I can,
I mean,
they
they'd be,
can come and
you know,
talk to
be
you.
welcome to
and-
come to the commission, but it seems like
Yeah.
if you could get a little bit more intimate group,
Well,
it might be more beneficial.
and at the same time, the commission needs to be understood that if the health department is not able to meet what they believe that it is because of funding or because of what, you know, what they're able to do in the office, you need to understand that too. You came to an understanding last year that one sand truck wasn't gonna hack it when it breaks down. You know, that's the same thing with the health department. As a commission, you need to, we'll be glad to sit down and look at what services are available and what we can do. But at the same time, what you're hearing here is the fact that they're unable to maintain personnel, and so that's being farmed out. It's not as it has been, and so it's good for the commission to understand this too, that we're not running the same program that we were, you know, 10, 15 years ago because of the hardship with finding personnel and the cost. And so as far as the Marion County Health Department, you know, working with the school districts would be glad to do that. At the same time, we're in the same boat as far as, you know, okay, we're going to assume the cost of, you know, of this because Marion County Health Services is not. So anyway, you're kind of in the loop too.
So what I would like to know is, how would the school districts be able to get together and give to us as a commission what you will be willing to do, and somehow get a total cost of exactly what this will cost, and what the expectation of the need is, so that we have a bottom line complete price, so we know where to work from. I mean, I'm hearing smatterings of things, trying to put it together as to what we really need dollar-wise to put it all together.
Yep, and what we reacted to was the fact that, you know, we spent, you know, the co-op spends, what, $5,600, is that what it is for the services? And as a districts, we hear all of a sudden, we're not gonna get those services. The vision and hearing machines are not gonna be utilized, you know, unless something's worked out. The cost is going up and everything. We live in a world, I mean, every one of these guys understand you know, every time you turn around, something costs, you know, an outrageous amount of what it did 2-3 years ago. And, you know, we understand that cost goes up. Losing the service is more disconcerting than it's like, okay, it's gonna cost us a little more, we need to understand that. And so we definitely don't wanna do that. So we do need to sit down and talk about what we're gonna do if we do lose the service.
So the 5,600, that is provided by each school district?
We all pay into
All-
Marion County, especially the co-op, and the co-op then pays the health department.
So it's a total.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Five
on
school-
that,
yeah,
it's
five
on
school
that
districts.
sheet.
You wanna see
that-
Okay. So, okay, so they contribute 5,600.
I apologize, I'm gonna have to leave, I need to attend
Yeah,
a funeral.
okay, thank you.
Thanks for your input.
Do we spend a teacher, I understood you to say there's a lot of administrative involved, writing things up and reports
Well,
making and things?
they have to schedule all the schools, and even though it's one district, it may be several schools within
Right.
that district. And then they have paperwork they fill out, that each student gets the paperwork sent home, and then there's a master list also.
It's probably, I believe it's a pretty tough day when you're running 500 kids through the 2
Well,
days, you know, it's.
Yeah, and
It's
it's,
a,
that's why a
fast and
school
furious.
nurse can't do, I mean,
Yeah.
There's no
That's my
way.
question, because every student is tested.
Everyone,
Yeah.
yeah.
it's, yeah, K through 3, I think it is, and then every other year.
Okay, so I mean, they're working hard under
Yeah.
there. It's in and out, lines waiting, so.
That is.
Bottom
Yeah.
line
Good
is,
thing.
bottom
It's not,
line
it wouldn't
is
be one of
that
your top duties.
is that it's-
Yeah.
bottom line is we need to figure out a way to make it work.
Right,
And even if it's more money.
Yeah, even
And
if,
I'm
you know, not
willing
even thinking
to-
about the cost.
to work with, but I just wanted Dr. Shepherd, and I invited him to come here.
We've been keeping him in the loop too. It
Okay.
might, a good suggestion might be, you know, we all get together and we can talk again, maybe the next special co-op meeting, and invite you, and also,
Okay,
I'm sorry, what the name of the other Healthy Start person,
Amber,
Amber, and that to come, and we talk about meeting these needs and addressing them, and how we do it, so.
So
Yeah.
when is that meeting?
that's probably not gonna be till August,
Still August.
first Wednesday in
The only
August.
problem is
Well,
waiting
that's
till
a
then,
little
yes.
late.
Yeah,
It's late, that's
yeah.
the problem, is that's late.
But
I mean, if you guys know of any nurses, I mean, we're doing another, I mean, we're hiring a nurse with Harvey County. Harvey County's hiring it and gonna let us use her 2 days a week. And that, I mean, they've been without a nurse since
Yeah.
fall. We've been since February. It's tough.
Is that an LPN and an RN? You can't find?
We were going for RN, but now I'm kind of redoing some job descriptions, so it's gonna be some reorganization, so.
I remember us talking about that.
I know of a good one in Peabody, and she's 61 or 2, and she's thinking of doing something, but I don't know what's going on. I really need to start talking to her and see what she's got in
Yeah.
mind. But I guess what I'm saying is, you know, if we get to where you're even thinking of a position or so, this person would have to know what kind of position, what it would take, and stuff like that. So,
I
So-
mean, is there any time that you all could get together?
Well, that's what I'm just thinking, I think we need to powwow sometime before August, because August is a
yeah.
bit late before the school year.
yeah,
So we need to get this done sometime here yet in July,
yeah.
and get something figured out, so maybe that's what we need to do, is get together with Dr. Shepherd, and we'll get a time coordinated with you also, and we'll see what kind of idea, suggestion, plan the way through this that we can figure out, okay?
Hearing, vision, and healthy start, three main things. Is that the main three?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
the hearing and vision, and then the healthy start is where we give the car seats, the life jackets, and the helmet,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
We
Yeah.
can kind of, and maybe we can kind of separate that a little
Yeah.
bit. I'm interested to know, Deidre, how far away are we in salaries from attracting, how far away are we?
We are at like probably $4 to $6 an hour.
Okay,
Could possibly even be about 10.
You're looking
Okay,
at, most
so-
nurses looking at 26, 27 an hour?
and so my next question is, of course, if the county were willing to, maybe bump up some salaries and things like this to attract nurses, in this particular case, these hearing and vision screenings with the school district, also we wanted to pick up that 5,600 a little bit as a share?
I would be hesitant to speak for the other guys, but I would say yes from our part. But
From your part?
We're sure if everyone's willing to look at trying to bump that up, if we need to do a bit more for hearing and vision, if that's what the market rate demands that we have to do to get the service done, then I'd say yes, we're willing to, I will say yes, you know, let the other
And
guys
would be
district
willing
speak for
to-
themselves,
To
yes,
bump
right.
up too,
Yep.
if we're willing to
Sure.
bump up, kind of work
It's a
together.
service we need.
It's a service we need and,
It's good for kids.
yes,
Well, and it is
Yes.
required,
right,
you
yes.
know.
Okay.
We have to meet a state requirement and that's what we have to get.
Well, maybe if you can get together and come up
Yeah.
with a shared reality or something,
Yeah.
I think that would be something I certainly be willing to look at.
Whatever it takes, we don't want to lose these programs.
There was
Yeah.
one comment made by John about local person that knows the county.
It is sure helpful. It's nice, you know, you can contract sometimes for someone to come and they can fit the need on paper. But when you can hire someone who has roots in the community and in the county and who is vested, they seem to bring, I'm sorry, but they just bring a little more oomph and desire to want to do the job right and do it well. And that's something I wish we could find someone in Marion County to fill that position if possible. But obviously when you can't and you've got to go to another county, what else can you do? But I'm sure, hopeful that maybe we could find someone within county to do that.
Well, I'd be interested to hear what you guys can come up with.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do.
Thank you guys. for
Thank you.
your
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
you bet.
So you'll let me know.
Yeah, we'll set up.
Here's it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Here's it.
Yeah, sure, thanks.
And where'd that paper go that
I
had the
think-
cost?
Right here, I had it.
I've got one of them emailed already, so you can
Yeah,
Oh, I can-
keep that if you want.
Oh, okay.
well, but I need
Is that,
Oh, she needs
I have one, a sheet of so much that cost. Is that yours? I have one
Yeah.
from David Shepherd, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Is it
yeah, I
the same one?
sent it to him.
Then it's the same one, okay.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Anything
Yeah.
else?
No, but I'm just gonna leave you these to just show you kind of what services are provided. And then I'll make an appointment
This last week?
for you guys. That's the survey that health departments had to fill out to get state formula funding.
And that's for both of these programs, or just?
That, well,
Just
that
the-
gives you overall what health departments are doing in the
Okay.
county, because the actual, what health departments are intended to do, and by statute, is communicable disease investigations and surveillance.
I see.
That's what we are required
I
to
see.
do.
I see.
A lot of these other programs are additional benefits, and
And they're nice, but.
they're nice, but there's sometimes change, and change is hard. You know, if we've offered something for a long time, and, you know, I can talk with you guys sometime when you have time, and I can show you some statistics that
I like that.
that sometimes what isn't really what it is, so,
Yeah. Well, I certainly would like to know that, Deidre.
okay.
I sure would.
Sure, I've got some statistics.
Good.
I can bring that up.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Deb,
Where would you like me?
right there, and I will tell you, I am so sorry about last week, how
No,
we ran so
it
far
is
behind. I
Perfectly
apologize for
fine,
that.
and I wish I wouldn't have had to get running to another meeting.
Well,
So I'm glad we were
The
able
world
to.
runs on meetings, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But, good morning, I'm Deb Scheibler. I'm the Executive Director for Kansas Workforce One. We're the local workforce investment board that covers 62 counties in western Kansas. I have a few things for you. I think there's 4 there. We are funded and regulated by the Federal Department of Labor.
yes, sir.
And those funds are accepted into the states by the governors on behalf, on your behalf, on behalf of all the counties in a state. And because of that, we are required to have agreements with each one of the counties, making them aware of the services and also the liability. What I've passed out with is a memo that kind of makes the agreement that is all legalese and a little more federally written, a little easier to understand. Again, these funds are put out in each county so that we can provide workforce services. You probably recognize our name more as Kansas Works. Hopefully you've heard Kansas Works before. And I do have a report of what we've done in Marion County in this last program year. We also spend quite a bit of time in the Peabody High School. They reached out to us several years ago, and we go there and do workshops and assessments and things like that as well. That's not reflected on that report. But these funds are utilized to help people look for jobs in a couple different ways. On the report, you'll see that we did just basic job search assistance for 14 Marion County folks, and that can run anywhere from just recruiting and helping them connect to a job, or doing resumes for them, interview prep, that type of thing. We also provide funding for people to go back to school, or in this case, in this county, we did some intensive job search with a gentleman actually that has a disability, and we worked with vocational rehabilitation and helped him get placed. Then we did an on-the-job training with a local employer as well this last year. And then you'll see that on the other side of it, the other spectrum is we help employers. We help them recruit and look for people, and some of that is, again, just basic recruitment, using kansasworks.com to do that. And we worked with, over the last 2 years, 128 in PY16 and 134 this year. We're almost at the end of program year 17. So just at the end of this week, it'll be July 1, which is absolutely crazy to me. But so we'll be ending another program year pretty soon. But so those are the services that we've provided directly in Marion County. But what the agreement does is, again, makes you aware of that the funds are being there. There's one other really important thing, and that is that we have a chief elected official board that acts on your behalf and oversees every dollar, everything that we do. And you are all, every county can appoint a member to sit on that board to oversee what we do, to give us advice and connect us more probably to your county in doing so. We also have private sector board members that are on our local workforce investment board. Phil Weisenbach, who is with Hillsborough Industry over in Hillsborough, is on our board and has been for a long time. And he is looking at retiring. So we're actually looking for someone, another business leader in Marion County that would take his spot. We'd like to have members of our board on all the different industries that are reflected across our area, but also all our counties. We don't want to just have, our larger counties have representation. We like to have our smaller counties as well. So if you're aware of a private sector person that would be involved and have a real passion for working with workforce development, please let me know, because we'd really like to replace him with somebody from this area for sure. He's not like ready to retire tomorrow, but he's getting closer and closer to it as we go. I think he's tried to do it several times, but hasn't actually completely retired yet. But, so we are looking for somebody
He
that
hasn't
way.
given you 5 names to choose from?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. He probably will, but he did ask me to ask you all as well if you had somebody in mind that would represent this area. So Do y'all
On
have
your,
any
on your
que-
workforce, when you help somebody, is this actually to get a job, if they get the job at John Doe Welding in Newton, Kansas, do you guys get paid any for a while on that, or is that work, Kansas Works, or?
No, none of our services are, we don't charge for them. We like to say they're prepaid because they're tax dollars. They're not free by any means.
Right.
They are not free. They come either from FUTA dollars or our federal tax dollars. If we send somebody to school, we pay their tuition, tools, or books, or in this case, on the job training where we're actually paying the employer to train them, those funds are federally funded and federally regulated pretty heavily, I might add. We have specific eligibility criteria for our programs that a participant who's receiving those dollars has to meet those eligibility criteria. And then we have different processes that they have to follow to kind of show that, yeah, I'm really in this, I'm going to do it, so that we have a good success rate. But all of those funds are federally funded. Most of our funding, probably about 80% of our funding comes from the Department of Labor. We also get Health and Human Services funding as well, federal Health and Human Services funding.
Deb, do you see more employers that are willing to do on-the-job training?
Absolutely.
Because that had been a big problem for years
Yeah.
when the employment was pretty tight or there wasn't very many jobs.
Absolutely. At any one day in our area, again, we cover 62 counties. If you look at our logo, that blue area, everything west of here is our area. We have anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 jobs available every single day. And those jobs are good jobs. They're not, a lot of people think, oh, Western Kansas, you can't make good money, and that's not true. Our average wage in our 62 counties is actually higher than what is in Sedgwick County. We like to tout that as much as possible because it's something people don't believe. But you can get really good jobs in Western Kansas, and the quality of life, of course, is so much better, in my opinion. But with the number of jobs that are available and so few people available to work, our unemployment rates, I'm sure you know, are so low right now. Employers are more willing to train themselves and take somebody that they might not have taken 5-10 years ago and train them because there's just not some readily available skilled workforce that they can have walk in and do their job without that level of training. That's led us to do is work a lot with kids, making sure kids know about the jobs that are available in their hometown rather than out. We also do a lot more work with people with disabilities, helping them, and we connect with employers out on that level a lot more than we used to. For instance, we might work with an employer who's looking for one full-time person, and they've been looking for that one full-time person for 9 months or more, and we can go and say, would you consider hiring 2 people that could do the job part-time but have a disability that doesn't allow them to work 40 hours? Some employers are like, wow, I've never really thought about that, and they like that option. There is an option rather than having a position lay unfilled. But yeah, OJT is a huge part of what we do in customized training. We do a lot of customized training projects with employers who need their current workforce to gain more skills because of a new product line or new regulations or something like that. So in order not to lose the employees that they have, we can go in and provide them some training that way too. You don't want to lose the employees that you've got because you can't easily replace them, unfortunately.
I think you have a really great website also for
Thank
promoting
you.
jobs.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really nice website for
It is.
the jobs.
And it's a constant
Yeah,
thing to keep
I mean
up
that,
on
yeah.
and keep working on. Yeah, thank you. We
it's very nice.
Absolutely.
You're out of Salina.
I'm out of Salina, but I'm hardly ever there.
Okay.
So you're out of Salina, huh?
Yeah, our home office is in Salina, but with 62 counties, I drive about 4,000 to 5,000 miles a month, and most of our staff does as well. We need to be able to reach each one of our counties. So my car is my office more so than my office.
31's a big area.
Yeah, it is a big area. the way that the federal law sets up how the funding is distributed is based on population, it's based on poverty level, number of layoffs, those types of things. In order to get our local area enough funding to make it even worthwhile, our area has to be that big. We're the largest local area in the state of Kansas, but we're the least funded local area in the state of Kansas by quite a bit because of the population, basically. You have to do more with less. We're all used to that, right?
What it's come to.
Absolutely. Any other questions
So
for
who
me?
would appoint that for Phil then?
You all could nominate somebody, and then our CEOB board actually appoints to the board. Right. We get nominations, and then the CEOB is actually in charge of
Right.
setting the members of our local workforce board.
Is there anything else for us?
I don't think so. Do you have any other questions on the agreement itself?
Give me a quick rundown of how a person, well, special needs or just anybody comes in here, gets hold of you.
Okay.
Just get hold of you.
KansasWorks.com is of course a website. Anybody can go to it. Other than that, you would call our offices. Our staff that does the intensive case management, we do travel. The staff that's in the office to do the basic job search assistance, mock interviews, they don't travel. But our staff that comes out would actually travel here. We do a lot of work in libraries, setting up at libraries and meeting with folks. So it's just a matter of contacting us, and then we'll get somebody out there. We run the eligibility process, and once we do that, that opens up the doors to whatever types of funding the person can do. That we can apply for. Yep.
Do you have anything else, Ken?
Nope.
Anything else, Randy?
No. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Yes,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. And again, I am so sorry about last week.
Please, don't worry.
I'm
Don't
not
worry.
traveling like you do. You don't
No,
do a lot
it's-
of recalls.
No, it's all right. It's perfectly fine. I totally understand our board meetings.
That's not the
do same
first time
thing.
that's happened?
No, not at all, not at all. You all have a wonderful
You
afternoon.
too, Deb.
Thank
you.
you. Okay, we are about
It was out there, I
5,
think.
6.
Who's out there?
Emma's out there. Emma, I didn't see you out there. All right, come on in. Good to see you.
How are you?
Just fine. How are you today, Emma?
I'm good.
Good.
Okay, I believe there was an aerial that was sent to you included in the packets. I do have, this is similar to what we've had recently, another request for a wastewater setback variance. This one is at 2661 Pawnee, which is located just almost directly west of Pilsen. This property was recently purchased, and they're doing an amazing job there at the property, cleaning it up and doing a lot of work there. The constraints here are that it's already a very narrow north to south property, and their current system is located just northeast of the home. It is failing. We actually went out and did an inspection last week, and they're wanting to get it replaced as soon as possible. The issue here is that they don't have 100 feet to the north. So what we would like to request is a 30-foot setback variance. They had discussed going to the west, but their intention, and they actually have it scheduled already, is to install a geothermal system to the west there, so we obviously can't go that direction. So the only place to go would be farther north. We don't want to install over the failing system, so we need to move to the north for that reason. So really, I would just request a 30-foot setback variance to the property line.
This is not for again, this is for a.
For a septic system.
Septic.
So it'd be just for the laterals only.
Lateral.
The tank would be about 10 feet just straight north of the house is their intention. And then they would solid pipe it through the trees there that you can see. and then they would run the laterals there between it's actually an orchard, and then the hedgerow.
Any possible problems? I mean, the property line, is that the yellow line, is the property line?
Yes, yes.
So, there's only how many acres there?
It's 4. I think it's 3.96, so
Okay.
it's almost exactly 4. Yeah, like I said, it's a newly purchased property. They're doing a lot of work there, but he's just wanting to keep things moving. They're hoping, they're not living there yet, but they're hoping to move in before the end of the summer. So
I have no problem with it.
Make a motion for a variance then, for the setback to 30 foot for this property. 2661
Pawnee.
Pawnee.
I'll second it. Got a motion by Randy to approve the variance of 30 feet setback at 2661 Pawnee. And a second by Diane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yep.
That was all I had.
Okay.
All
Pretty
right.
quick.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next is Mr. Pat Hughes. I didn't see him out there yet. Is he out there?
I don't believe so, look.
Not yet?
Nope.
Why don't we go ahead and take about a 5-minute break since he's not here, 5-10 minutes. Just going to go ahead and do that. I think everybody's present that was here prior. So we're just going to go ahead and resume the meeting. And we have Mr. Pat Hughes is next.
You might want to, I'm going to be talking with you about negotiations with Diamond Vista, so you might want to have an executive session for that. If you do, I'd recommend 15 minutes to start with.
Okay. All right.
The commissioners and me and anybody else, I don't know that anybody else's presence is important.
Well, Mr. Jansen, perhaps. Glad he showed. I was worried about you. Okay, so Mr. Hughes had just asked for an executive session to go in to discuss some of the agreements with about Diamond Vista. So, I trust you will just pick up here. So I will move that we move into executive session in order to discuss agreements with Diamond Vista for a period of 15 minutes pursuant KSA 754319B. This will be for consultation with our attorney, attorney-client privilege. Did I left anything else out? Do I have a second?
Second.
The question, I don't know if you have been contacted or anything like that, but it is proposed that Red, not trade, Red wants to use 330 as just to bring in some equipment. To do any problem with that or not? I realize that.
No, I don't have any problem with that. I think it would be a good idea for you to make it clear to them that this is something that you say is okay. I think you want to make it clear that that's not part of what we're worried about in the road maintenance agreement. And so as long as your people are satisfied that this piece of equipment is appropriate to use this road, that's fine.
Okay. So that we really apply to the maintenance agreement.
No, I think you want to let Res know that, so that they know there isn't any issue.
Right, right. And, and in doing this, there's so much back and forth in Amino County, and a lot of it is miscommunication and no communication. And so, and the same way with the trucks, and got that fixed. I appreciate that as well. Yeah. That's all I have.
Okay, well, thank you all.
Well, thank you.
Have a good day, Pat.
You too.
Okay, so, it is 11:20. Mr. Bruce is next.
Okay.
Howdy.
First thing, I don't know if you guys have seen the letter we received from Stutzman's. We are no longer receiving any reimbursement for our recycling because the price is so low. We still can take it into them, which is fine because we don't want to pay $40 a ton to get rid of it, you know, and that's what we're saving. So, just so you're aware of it, we did receive this letter, and I checked into it and called this gentleman here and talked to him about it. And he said as soon as the price goes up, then we will start getting reimbursed again. But at this point in time, there's just no reimbursement to anybody, not just us, but to anybody. So they're watching the markets close and stuff, and it all stems from the China deal. Is what it does. And I've been reading magazines, and the United States is trying to get going like China was doing, and start instead of relying on somebody else to do it themselves. So it's in the works, but it might be a few miles down the road. So just so you're aware that we are not, but do want to continue recycling, because like I said, don't want to pay $40 a ton to get rid of it.
Well, wait a minute now.
Well, that's true.
I mean,
It's
what if our cost goes up? How much extra cost you spending? I mean, we're going out and picking all this up and doing all this. I'm just saying, look at your cost.
So
Yeah.
what would you do with it otherwise? I mean,
Well,
it's
it
still trash,
goes in-
still
goes in
afford
trash.
Goes in the
trash.
trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we would still be paying the cost in just a
You'll still be
different
paying
form.
the cost of the trash to get it hauled off, or down there
Right.
and hauled off. But
Yes,
in order to the same right now, the cost of them doing the job, the cost of the dumpsters, the cost of the trailer, the cost of the truck, all of that cost is going against this cost to go over here and not to have to pay. So you're still paying, no matter what you're doing.
yeah, you're paying to pick it up, and we're still paying to haul it.
What I'm saying.
Yeah,
If your
to the
total
land,
bill,
yes.
person involved,
Right.
time, labor,
Right.
costs more
Then
than the trash,
the trash, yeah.
then we're doing wrong,
Right.
even
No,
though it
it-
sounds good. Hate to say that,
Yeah.
but that's the way it is.
So far, it's not that way yet.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've
I don't
put
know
the
that all the
fig-
costs are involved that we've
Right.
looked at. I mean, insurance, trucking, and all of this.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it sounds like a good deal, and
Well,
I agree. I like to recycle. I don't
Yeah,
have no
I'll
problem.
get a definite cost to you. So,
It'll be something we need to be looking at.
It's something that can slip up on you, and you
Yeah.
think it
right,
could be, but
So I guess I'd still, you're picking all this stuff up.
yeah.
Okay, so we're still gonna pick it up, whether you call it trash or recycling, right?
we're not.
picking it up.
We're not if we just can't discontinue the service.
Well, if we discontinue the service, the people then will just throw it into the trash.
Right,
Correct.
and then
Yeah.
somebody else will
And
bring,
then we'll pick it up.
somebody,
No,
no, we
dump
won't.
it.
Somebody
It'll
else
be
will
brought
bring
to us, and then we
Yeah.
pay to
Yeah.
take it to the
Then we'll
landfill.
pay to take it.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
See, we don't get paid to accept the trash, you know. That's a part of the fee that they pay annually. So, yeah, but I can get you a little bit.
And I hope it's not, Bud. I really
No,
don't
I
want
do-
to
I do
see it,
too.
but
I do
But I
too.
just say, if
Uh,
we're
this-
sitting here, and I hope the cost comes back maybe by the end of the year, and
Yeah.
we're paying, getting some money out of it.
This
But
gentleman seemed to think that it was gonna, but like he said, I can't
Right.
predict, but he says it looks like it might be gonna turn around, but,
I hope it
you know,
does.
hopefully it does. I will do that, I will get some figures for you and show you what it is costing for sure to have us run our routes into all, to,
Time-wise, one person, how much
Yeah.
time does it take?
yeah,
Almost a job.
right, yeah, but
That's just time in person.
that's where,
And then do you have any way of figuring, you know how much tonnage and so on you get, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
how
we-
much you
yeah.
can take down there. So then could you also figure up then that additional tonnage and trash? What that would charge us and
Mhm.
what that would
yeah,
cost us?
whatever we
okay?
take,
So we
yeah.
can actually see,
what your extra expense would be trash-wise
Right,
opposed to
versus
us
just-
picking it up and, yeah,
versus us picking it
Yeah, I
up
can-
and
I can
taking
get
it
that.
down for free.
I can get that for you, yes.
Yeah, that's, I'd like to know those figures.
Yes. I
That's
can
the
do
two
that.
figures, where do they come out at?
That's what
Yeah.
I'd like to
Yeah.
know.
Right, I understand,
Okay.
and just what I have up at the office, you know, it was still feasible to do, but I will get you the figures so you can see it and stuff.
Okay, good.
And stuff, so, and then also, Keith Beatty with Car Valley has moved to Oklahoma. We have new engineers, same plan. They're gonna be here on July the 9th at 10:40, I believe is the time, with the numbers and the plans. I checked with Ashley, and that's a meeting day, and it's on the agenda for that day, so
Right.
they will be here.
So, could we move that up just a little bit, rather than you said 10 what?
40 is what they have
Can we
down.
move that time up a little earlier?
Well, I think Bud's on at 10:20 and then they're at 10:40.
I think we can come in at 10:20, everybody, if,
I was gonna say, well, I'll be leaving a little early that particular day.
okay.
So, and I just wanted to get that information.
Yeah, I know you
So rather than rescheduling, if we could just adjust the agenda to where.
Well, I can have them come in at 10:20, and then if I need to talk to them about something, I can take over the 10:40 position. And then,
Is 10:20 early enough?
That,
or-
that should be fine.
Okay.
okay, I'll contact them and tell them it's 10:20 instead of 10:40 then. So, and, like I said, everything, I met with them last week, the new engineer and the president of the company, and they say everything will be ready for that day to have the final costs and the plans and everything to be presented to you guys, so.
Okay.
Anyway, so, the other thing, did resolution and,
Yep. We have a resolution. Did everybody have the opportunity to read the resolution? It was in our packet.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make, do you have a resolution number? Do you have a, Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to accept resolution 2018-16, a resolution establishing the service fee for 2019 for solid waste facilities, assessing the fee on real property, and establishing the manner of collection of the solid waste fee. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Second by Randy. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. I'm sorry. I did that wrong. I take that back. So, motion made by Diane, second by Randy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Aye. Becker disagrees. Opposed. I'm sorry. Everything usually just moves.
Did you sign it?
No. It's interesting how even when you oppose something, you still have to sign it.
Yeah. Even though you lost, you still sign.
Yeah.
Evidence is participation.
Okay.
Then I also had a salary change for 1 year for Brandy.
Yeah, from there you signed it.
Okay, okay. And then I'd like to go into executive session for, I guess, personal performance. What, 10 minutes? Which is fine.
Okay, we're at the end of the agenda, and we're going to be going into executive sessions anyway. So, yeah, I have no problem with that at all. First, the meeting for Friday, am I correct that you're not going to be here? I thought I heard you say that. Is there a lot of stuff already on that agenda, do you know, for Friday?
Looks like we have something up to 10:40.
Okay, so we have payday activities, and then what's after that?
The conservation district budget, road and bridge area fuel bids, and CASA is coming. Let's talk about, I think that was from budget from last week.
Okay, so it's nothing there that would require a decision, it's just presentations, am I correct?
Correct, besides the area fuel bids.
Yeah, I hear it, they're pretty standard. Well, the reason I'm even bringing that up is because the last time, when Mr. Becker was not here, you didn't participate in any decision-making, you didn't participate in it. And I just thought, since he's not going to be here again, I don't want to go down that road again. So I was just going to go ahead and do administrative because it's a payday, and then, postpone everything to another meeting. So I just thought it was terrible. Made no decisions for the whole day because Mr. Becker wasn't here. And so, like I said, I don't want to go through that type of embarrassment and have the public out here for that. So I was going to change. But if it's something that has no decisions, we can go ahead and do that. But then we probably need to stop and put people on other agendas so that we can just leave early. Okay? Fair enough? Okay.
That's your opinion only.
No, sir, that was a fact. You would
No,
not,
no, no, no,
you
you heard
would
it.
not make any decisions.
That was your opinion whether it's a bad deal or not. Maybe my decision is not.
And then,
So you're making decisions for me again,
and
right?
then I said it was a bad deal. It was a bad deal for
No.
the county. It was a bad deal for the county commission.
You can run off your mouth and I will too.
I'm just pointing out,
No,
sir,
that's
that
right.
that's what happened.
If somebody wants to make a decision, I will. But if that day it was related to him too, in his area. So.
And that's in every decision, everything that we brought up, even different subject matters, because Mr. Becker was not here, you said that we can't make a decision. So, I just feel like we shouldn't go down that road.
That's your feelings, not mine. Simple as that.
So that's fine, but that's what happened. And so to prevent that from happening again, we just won't have any decision making on that day. So,
The only thing you have basically is fuel bid, though.
well, that's right, that's what I said, and that's pretty standard. Because even the last time when you weren't here, he did go through the administrative because he did that. But then when we got into the other subject matters, then there was no decisions made. He just would not participate and ultimately got up out of the chair and said, I'll just leave you sit here and meeting adjourned, and just up and walked right out. So, like I said, just not going to go down that road
The
again.
meeting was done when I walked out.
But you did, you
Yep.
brought it to a conclusion all by yourself, done or not. So we'll just end it there with that for the next meeting, then on the 29th. That's okay? Will you do that? There's no problem with that, Mr. Jance, am I
No.
correct? Okay.
That should be fun.
Thank you. Okay, so that's all I have at this time. Anybody have anything else? Randy, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I have something that I think here in our off time here a week or two ago, you brought up and ended subject about the matter with Morris County. And I think your final comment was that, well, if we don't want to do it right, that's the way it is. They do it right. There's been some employees ask me to pass the word back to you. Maybe if you don't feel that they do it right here in Marion County, maybe you ought to move to Morris County. So that's
Excuse
just,
me, it is on videotape.
yeah.
What
I know,
I
that's
said-
that's what it, right.
What I said
Right.
was, as the commission knows, that it was brought to the commission that I was going to go to Morris County to present your offer of $17,500
Yep.
versus their proposed bid of $24,000.
Right.
And I did that.
Yeah.
And they said to me that they don't do roads like that. And so therefore, they respectfully declined to do it at $17,500 because they don't do roads like that.
That's not your final comment, though. Your final comment was something right here was said like, they do it right. And that's what somebody's picked up on.
That's what, yeah, that's what they said in their conversation. But that was their
So
final
anyway,
decision. So anyway,
people's feelings are heard out there by
Well-
our comments, and that's what I'm letting you know.
that's, you know what, it is what it is. You know, reality is reality. And I'm sorry if feelings are hurt to realize that the other counties don't want to play the games that we offer to them.
No,
So.
that's not the point. I'm done.
Good. Okay, so next, Does anybody else have anything they want to say? Although the meeting will continue, but we're going to be going into executive sessions. Does anybody in the public have anything they want to say?
Pray for more rain.
It's nice. Do you have something to say, Mike, or did you just?
Just pray for more rain. Still need some more.
Okay, so we will enter into executive session with Bud. I'm going to go ahead and. Bud, how long did you say? 10 minutes? Did you say?
10 minutes.
Is that what you said? Okay.
Brad.
We're close to answering that.
I'm sorry. What? A policy change?
Yeah, I mean, when Tina gets back, I would probably have that conversation starting with her. Probably get back with Randy and see if we can figure out, okay, what among these various things can we address in a way that they don't keep coming up?
Okay, and when do you normally get your, you get your credit card statement just a couple days, like on the 20th or something like that? Is when you-
This month we got it Friday, just a few days ago.
Mhm. And did you hand it in?
It's in your box.
Okay. So, you know, his credit card bill comes so close to time that they need their stuff, that,
I was just wanted your policy to be, make it, we knew he's gonna be gone for a week, because that's week training.
It was a week.
Week training. I would personally just like to see, I'm going to such and such place, such and such time, between these dates, credit cards will be used. That's just a tracking record. Everybody knows what's going on. That's, you know, that's simple.
Is that going to be across the board for every department head?
Well, I hope they should.
well, we would put that in. We
Yeah.
will do that, yes.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
just not you. I mean, it's everybody.
Because I want to make sure that it is there, because I know in the past it has not been everybody. This has been pretty ugly, I thought.
Yeah, it needs to encompass all departments.
Yeah.
Okay, so, as I understand it, I just want to sum it up, that because of the uniqueness of his position, these things have, it's not that he's negligent, willfully negligent. Would we agree to that?
I'm not, yeah, that's fine. I'm not calling it that.
Randy, are you?
Well, I have a much longer record here than either one of you two do, and it's been a problem, and I hope we can get it solved so that he can do his job, we can get the bills paid, and we can move on. And it just has to be that way.
Just supply the help that's needed.
Okay, so the help that's needed could be maybe hire a part-time assistant for him, a secretary? I mean, would that be a reason? We could do that, right? Couple hours a month, have an assistant work for him, like other departments. Would that be?
The budget would handle it.
Mhm. I mean, we could hire just a part-time assistant for him, which would help him just in some administrative things.
That'd be your decision.
8 hours a month or something like
Definitely, no, I
that.
didn't put it in the budget.
Well, I know, but if we do this, you know, this is something that we know wasn't presented to us. It was just, but I'm just asking, how about 8 hours a month?
I don't
Hire
think that's a
somebody.
question for now, I think we need to move on.
No, I want to get this solved because it's going to come back and come back. It always has.
And well, with policy.
I think if we handle it policy-wise and everybody knows straight up where it's at, where to go, what's in the policy, I think we can avert this kind of. That's why I think Brad could work on that, discuss it with Tina, and we can get to that point.
I'd like to take it at that step at a time, I guess. I will go ahead and try to discuss it with her, be in touch and see if we can't figure out something to address that.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would definitely be opposed to, I really hope that you don't go down to this. I would be really opposed to having the clerk or any clerk in there be the direct contact to him as far as getting into his personal or his credit card records. I mean, that's degrading. I mean, to hire somebody is one thing. That's what other department heads have. But the suggestion that was made to have a clerk go in and go through his things, I mean, is to me just off the charts.
Our office wouldn't do that.
That was the suggestion that was made here, that I think, did you make that?
Some type of help, I don't know, I'm not saying who it is or what it is, that could access those records to get them to payroll, to
That would have
the
to be
pay
somebody
clerk.
that he would hire on his own then, right?
Well, I think we're ahead of ourselves.
Right.
Let me draw it.
Right,
Let me
that's-
see what
that's why I
Randy has to
said, Brad,
say,
let
and
Brad
I can talk
address
to
this
Tina,
and-
because it all flows through her here,
And bring it back to
and
us.
bring it back.
And when you draw that up, would it also be a fair thing to say to have all the department heads together at the same time so they all know the new
Yeah,
policy?
if it flows that way, we'd ultimately draw one that everyone looks at and
Right.
says, this is what we do to just try to address this across the board. Is it uniformly generic enough that all of you can live with it and that it will work? And take input from all of them.
Okay, so
Right.
it will be, okay, we
Right.
will. when
That's
you
what I would
present that.
envision.
Yep,
Okay,
across the board.
okay. So is that fair then? So it'll be across the board?
I think every policy needs to be across the board.
So we're
Yes.
gonna write a policy?
Mhm.
Yeah, he's gonna write a policy for all department heads.
So what's that gonna include?
It's going to solve everything.
Okay.
Bold letters.
Mr. Jess, did, okay, I'm sorry. Is there anything else that you want to say to him?
No.
Randy?
No.
That's all.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, but
Enjoy
we'll
your
keep
vacation.
on working on it.
Thank you.
Mr. Jantz will solve it all. And
Thanks,
Or at least some of the
a lot of the BS will stop.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
Randy.
thank you.
Excuse me.
Mr. Jantz, did you have another thing for us?
Yeah, I thought that I had done this Friday, and that's my own fault, and I apologize in advance. These are really just for your review. Remember, we discussed the policy in terms of maintenance by private citizens?
Yes, yes, I remember that. I've been waiting patiently.
Alternative A,
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
This is
and
alternative
I
A.
don't know what happened to my synchro here, but on the automatic system, it didn't do what it was supposed to, so that comes loose, and it shouldn't.
Is this the same?
Nope.
No, it's not.
Nope. These are the two alternatives.
Okay.
If you'll recall the discussion, and again, there's no requirement for action today, yet I want you to be able to, if you want to think about it some more, ask more questions, feel free. I kept it as simplistic as I could. I had gone back, actually, it was a page longer because I outlined all the different kinds of things that the county does with everything from weed control to dust control to you name it, because I went and looked at about 8 or 10 of the different examples, and we're not the only county that has this issue, just based on a few phone calls I made. And I went back to something that is as straightforward as I could make it, and in the one instance, the one that you have where it's easy to tell, there's a number 6 on the bottom. That one allows for a general process to consider, you're never committed, but to consider reimbursement if someone does it correctly and brings it to you in the form that you wish. It's done on a case-by-case basis and gives you the opportunity to evaluate in each instance, but it leaves that option in place. And I want to make sure that that's clear based on our discussion. The other one where it ends with number 5 does not. It says it's clear in here that we aren't going to pay you. You do this, that's fine. You're still going to submit it to us because we have liability for what you did to that, to whatever we approve. But we're not going to pay you a dime for it. Not now, not ever, period. So one is absolute on one end, the other is not so absolute that we're going to pay, but it does give the option to pay. So it depends on how strenuously you want to assert that. And I know, given the circumstances, you at least want to make sure it's very clear to people that this is how we do this. So that's why they're written this way, and I knew there wasn't complete consensus as to which of the two ways you wanted to go. If you want to set it up at the outset of we're just not going to pay, that way we don't have to worry about this. That's a bright line for us. If we do approve it, going in that you get a dime. And in the other case, it leaves that wiggle room. And so that's what the one with the extra paragraph does. And I tried to make it as general as I could to give complete latitude as to what you consider. If someone does something and you do want to give them some money for something, in a rare instance, that you have that ability to do that and doesn't constrain you too much. The other one basically does constrain you. It just simply says, as a matter of resolution, as a matter of our internal policy, we don't want to encourage, and it says that in both of them, we don't want to encourage too much private citizen intervention because really it's our liability, it's the taxpayers' dollars. We don't want to get into the circumstance where is it fair to give money to and who isn't. I get that, I do. So that's why I prepared it both ways, and you all can read them and decide which one you like, and if you don't, or you want something in between those, I can do something more with it. But they're about as clear as I can make them and as simplistic as I can put it. For one gives you some latitude, the other does not.
One's got an extra paragraph in it.
That's it.
Good.
I do have a question on that. Having said that, the one that gives you the latitude, that says that we can consider, what difference is that particular resolution from what we have right now?
The one we have right now didn't go quite as far, and it really didn't specify that at all. It didn't really give me much, I read through it, it didn't give me much of anything in the way of, we do contemplate doing that, first of all. And if we do, we're going to expect you to provide us with detailed information in advance. And that detailed information is defined by us, not by you, because it says to the county's satisfaction in here. And at that point, we still haven't committed to anything, but we are at least giving some ability for the commission to say, okay, in fairness, in this particular circumstances, doing this on a case-by-case basis, I think we can do this, and I feel like we should do this, and here's why. And you make a record of that, because it is somewhat precedential. Once you do it once, going down the road, if someone else has an exact same set of circumstances, why would you turn them down when you didn't the first one? I won't argue that a bit. But with a case-by-case, there are some things that happen with enough regularity that you can develop a fairly good track record of, if it's rock and someone has gotten the same type of aggregate that we would normally use and they've just put it down because they really wanted it there and it was for their convenience as much as ours, okay, we might pay someone $100. In the other instance, it's like, you did it for your convenience, it's you doing it, so be it. That's your deal. So, anyway, I'm okay with either way, depending upon what you want to do, because it's a policy decision in some ways. But yes, you're right. The one is going to be absolute. You've got the absolute bright line that, no, we don't pay for any of that stuff. And what's nice about this is someone who comes in and makes that kind of application or request, they're still doing something on county property. We have to know what the quality of it is. You have to approve that. We're not taking on any additional liability because you did it. If someone that works for you gets hurt getting this done, there's not a comp claim and we're not involved. All of that's stated. But we are saying that we will or we will not consider some form of payment. That's really the only difference between the two ways I've written it.
And so, I do have one more question for you. And I know this is, and jump out of the box just a little bit. We all know what brought this to the head now, forefront. And that is the one person that we have that has no regard for the law, policy, resolution, whatever, and just continually does what they want to do. What do we have if we choose this B to where it's still our decision or whatever, and he just continues to do what he
Do what he does?
What do we
This
do?
specifically addresses it in general form. That's the beauty of one of these. If he does what he has done historically, as I understand it, decides to go out there and just do it, doesn't get on an agenda, does not come in here and request anything from you, he gets nothing. There's no matter of fact, the worst case scenario is that you don't like what he did, and you tell me to go and enjoin him from ever doing it again and getting a court order, and considering that there may potentially be damages for what was done, even though it was done with all the right intent. It was done incorrectly, and in some way the county can prove up that it was inappropriate, then it's actually creating a liability, not creating a help. This specifically says, I don't care who you are, and whether we entertain reimbursement or not, you will come to us first. And you will do so with the appropriate plan detailing what it is that you intend to do, and get permission from us and approval first. Having said that, that doesn't mean we're going to take on maintaining what you did, or any further liability that results from it, whether it's your employees, you, or what you did. We're just saying that in that very limited scope, you come to us and you say you can do it, then you can do it. The only way that these two diverge, the two that I've just given you, one says, and having said that, not going to pay you a thing, ever. The other one says, having said that, we'll look at what's done after we've had the chance to look at the detailed proposal, and if we do approve it, and you do include it in that proposal request reimbursement, we will speak to that, whether we intend to give you anything or not.
So you just said that if they do it anyway, without all the prior steps taken, then we don't have the obligation to continue maintaining that road?
No, you still have the obligation to maintain it by city standards. My point is, some people will do some things, and then they think you're gonna maintain it the same way they did.
Oh, I see, okay.
No. They may do a ditch that doesn't even remotely drain correctly. And again, in those circumstances, the whole purpose of them coming before you first is to alleviate and get rid of all of those problems. What we see that you did, we've turned over to staff, they've looked at it and said, yeah, you do that and you do it exactly the way you proposed it, you're fine. And that ties them also to a certain standard of work. If it were me out by our farm, I'm not gonna touch this. Because I'm just gonna call you guys and keep calling you and saying, somebody come fix this for me, because why would I wanna do that? But something simpler, I'm gonna mow a half mile down from my lane road because it looks pretty. And I like to keep it that way. I'm not asking you for the gas. If I break a mower, that's my problem, whatever. But this actually constrains them. You know, you're in the city's ditch, you better come over here with at least a standard request and say, hey, I plan to mow it, I'm gonna mow it all season, I'm not gonna scalp it, I won't tear it up, I'm not gonna kill anything intentionally, but I do wanna mow it throughout the growing season. And then you can look at that and say, okay, trying to give it enough flexibility so that we're not micromanaging the whole world, but still putting it in a position where you have control over what you should have control over, which is county property.
So we even include mowing ditches in this, then, basically?
I had all that down. That was a whole page of, for instance, these are all the things the county does. And I thought, shoot, I probably still left something out. So I went back to, as you read it, a very general, and I make it fairly simple. I use 3 words throughout on a consistent basis if I can find what I said.
Doesn't that drive you crazy when you try to find something that you know is
Yeah.
there?
Maintenance, repair, and I used another one here. Oh, there it is. Maintenance, repairs, or improvements.
Okay.
That's about as generically as I could word it to cover everything I could think of that we might ever do, you know, out in the country, on these roads or anything akin to that the county has any responsibility for. And it may turn out, when they bring it to you, that you go, that's not an improvement. That's actually going to make it worse. You understand that. Well, no, we can't let you do that. So you develop that funnel and siphon some of that work out, as opposed to what your example was, somebody just goes and does it. No, at some point you'll get a letter saying you're going to have to refrain from that. And it gets to some of the same things you mentioned. Someone every year in and year out along, you know, just in front of their driveway, they've always put rock down. They've done it for the last 15 years. This basically impacts them as well. I'll say that if you're going to do that, the county is saying, at least tell us so that we can say, yeah, that's fine. We've never had a problem with it before. We don't have a problem now. But the point being that I can't figure out how to have your cake and eat it too beyond a certain point. Again, equitably treating everyone. If you're going to do something on county property, you got to let us know. And we have to say that's okay.
I was under the impression, like on the frontage ditches, that it was the responsibility of the property owner to maintain that.
In certain instances it is, but I mean, I'm just getting into the generic, trying to keep it to the, what is the county responsible for and what do we do on all of the county's property? And that's what this is meant to cover. On the others, that will obviate, because it'll take it out of this.
One issue I can see is almost everyone's driveway starts on county property. So if you want to get a load of rock and you've got 10 feet on county property, every person in Marion County is going to have to bring in and say, I need to put the gravel on.
If you take it absolutely literally, that's absolutely true. Because once they've dedicated, you know, that approach to the county roadway, you're right.
That literally is every resident, rural resident, and a lot of other improvements in the county.
And it applies almost to every property owner, just like even myself.
Sure.
I do mow that ditch.
But what I haven't looked at, but I will, is I think that it's statutory, but it also is in almost every county. That approach, they do allow that, or they consider like an easement in town. We have the right to take care of it and to do certain things on it. You do not. However, you do have the right to maintain it. Okay, just that small distance, but that's different than the complete ditch and the grade of that ditch and the roadway, you know, that you're approaching or that you're getting onto. They do have some wiggle room in that, as I recall. I just need to look that up for sure. But I thought we'll get this to you and we can start from there.
I don't know whether it was a past deal or what, but you hear consistently over the last quite a few some counties or some places, the farmer maintains mows the ditch. And was that a state law at one time, you think?
At one point, there were certain, long ago, and then statutorily, unless otherwise reserved, it became county property. But there are some what-ifs in that, which is what we were just discussing now, that, you know, your roadway coming on, yeah, that culvert, like you have a county policy in virtually every county. When the culvert first goes in, who pays for it and who does the work?
Have a lot of these aren't even, don't have a culvert.
They're just
it's just
they
a
just cut
turn.
across, yeah, but I'm even talking about those, and we have policies for that sort of thing, and I have not, I'll admit, gone back and looked to see how consistent.
I just don't want to open a can of worms that every rural person in Marion County needs to file.
A permission to use
A
10 feet of the
permission to do
property.
this,
I agree
this,
with
and
that
this.
too. This was meant more for dealing with all of the, what are truly the public roadways. But it is a good question, it's one I need to be able to answer.
Maybe if we just take out maintenance, because repairs, or if they take on the repair, that's what we've come in contact with somebody going in and cleaning out their ditch, or, I don't know.
I can tell you from my own experience that you actually make a bigger can with that.
Because then we have to decide, we have to define maintenance.
Because someone, for example, in the kinds of circumstances you were highlighting with me, I can easily make a heck of an argument that that's maintenance,
Okay.
as opposed to repair.
Okay.
How are you going to define that? Well, that really gets to be more and more difficult to do, because maintenance in some cases really is just putting a bunch of rock down and even doing a little bit of subgrade work, that kind of thing. It's maintaining an existing roadway. Others would say, oh, heck no, you're going down so far to base on that that's really repairing and rebuilding. Well, which is it? And it's going to become an engineering question. So we may open a bigger can of worms. I think there's probably a better way for us to try to resolve it with what we've got and make a determination on those small pieces of it, like the connecting element from your private drive to the public roadway. So I'll look at that a bit. And I do know there's some statutory language on that. I just have not pursued that beyond just starting with this.
We're going to keep you busy because this county has very few
And you're not the only one.
policies.
You are not.
Very few.
A lot of those kinds of things, till they come up, somebody doesn't deal with it. And even when they do come up, well, it just came up once, so then they quit worrying about it. No, that doesn't work that way anymore. It's gotten to be enough of an issue across most counties that you just have to.
And so are you also working on, if I remember correctly, we brought it up, and I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think we're going to work on actually setting the policy about people who put their hay bales or equipment or whatever in our right of way, or plowing the road, plowing to the road. You're going to be working on that.
And I was trying to treat that separately, and it could be that those end up melding into one, but I do think I like those two as two separate ones, because people who are undertaking to really in good faith improve something are different than those who are just saying, well, I'm going to use this for personal benefit and create some problems there that really are the county's, but shouldn't be. So I thought it was probably a separate one.
When, will you be here next week on Monday?
Well, I'll be here on Friday if need be.
Um,
We don't have it on for
We don't have one
next
Monday.
week, so.
um,
And there isn't one Monday? Okay.
Because we have one Friday.
Yeah.
So, okay. And we did speak on Monday because of the Friday meeting, right? That's why we don't have it on Monday.
What I can do is look at, what I usually do, is look at the whole month, and then I kind of double check it with Tina to see what she's got on that calendar that you guys read off all the time, to see what there is. Because there are some times where I've actually got to be somewhere at 11 or something, but what I'm trying to do is make sure that there's always some time every meeting that I can be here in case there is something that comes up, because you just never know. So far that's kind of been the goal. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. As you know, we need you.
Yeah, and it's good to be needed, I guess. So yeah, that's fine.
And I'm just trying to do policy and keep everything straight. Everybody treated the same.
Well, and again, on some of
that's-
those, that's the only way that I can see that you're going to solve something, is just to put it into a format that everyone's had a chance to input on, and then just say, okay, this is what we're going to live with now. So shouldn't be further argument about it.
Well, good, and I'm all for that, and that's the big problem that we have is it's not. You know, everything is different to different departments for different reasons, but then the consistency is just like with this, they just blow into. And then you get, and I will tell you, and I don't know when Tina's coming back, but, you know, you've heard of SHRM. Well, I joined SHRM, and I go to their meetings regularly, and they are huge in human resources. And we just had this awesome meeting here last Thursday that I was at, and it was all about supervisors, morale, and how all that works, okay? In so much as the presenter came from K-State, and K-State has a program, and they will actually come to the county free of charge and put on the same program. I did ask the gentleman if he would, and of course, it would need to be scheduled. And I have it all right here. And a lot of the problems that we're facing right here is addressed in this. And as I see it, the way human resources has blown into a huge thing today. There's a lot of things you can't do, and even, you know, the perception or the reality.
There's no question, I mean, I'll candidly admit, I've spent more time in everything from actual live litigation in conference rooms in different law firms, in Kansas City and Wichita and wherever else, as well as mediation, arbitration on human resource management and anything else. Liability cases pale in comparison, and what you get now in a lot of these with guys that I know and have worked with for 20 years is working what we do as well as what you do. What if someone in a corporate management setting they'll all, I think, agree on a general statement. If you didn't have to deal with people, it'd be a great job. But I mean, that's just how it is, and the fact that I don't know what drives it. I don't, but our most of what we spend a lot of our time on day to day usually isn't management related anymore. It's personnel kinds of questions, and somehow, or tangential pieces to that. If you could just get down to the nuts and bolts of your budget and how you're prioritizing and all of that, that'd be great. But if you think about it, when you look at your agendas too, a significant portion of it is personnel. Just
generational changes.
Yeah, I've practiced too long.
And the reason I get like this, and I don't mean to come across as an ogre, but going to these classes, honestly, we are an accident ready to happen in some of these cases. I mean, because we don't have the grip on the policy. And a lot of times attorneys are putting these on, and people who actually fight these cases, and more, the employees are winning. And in some cases winning big. There's things that I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, you know. And it is, and I think we really need to educate our supervisors on some of this stuff. I just think it's an excellent program.
I will make one more comment about it. There's the intangible as well, and that is the stress. You can have people who, in every sense of the word, mean to do it correctly, and inadvertently find themselves in a situation where someone really has a huge problem with what they did, and they're going, well, how did we get here? I mean, I hear that one all the time going into those meetings. And it really isn't a situation where people are starting out going, I want to create a problem, or I want an issue to be something that becomes public and that looks embarrassing in a lot of ways and is very stressful. Other employees, everyone has an opinion, and everybody wants to argue over it. And it is difficult. It is difficult. I would be lying to you if I didn't say that that was a big part of what you end up faced with. Year in and year out, sitting when you do. It just is.
Well, I just say it is an absolute, I love it. It's just absolutely eye-opening what's going on in today's world.
Yeah.
And the studies that they do and things like that. And I know, just speaking here from this county right here, what I see, the people who need to be taking responsibility are not, the ones that are not supposed to be are, and I mean, it's just upside down. And so, you know, so we start, I guess, with solid policies.
Yeah, I get to write a lot of them these days, so at least there's practice.
One way we're contributing to your workload.
And you are doing that.